Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. President Trump is optimistic about talks with Iran, what he's saying about denuclearization, and why he believes the strategy is working. The U.S. chooses not to renew the USMCA. What happens next to the trade agreement with Mexico and Canada? New charges against alleged Tren de Aragua members. The Justice Department says the suspects entered the U.S. illegally and is blaming the Biden administration for letting them in. Rescue work continues in Venezuela a week after two major earthquakes hit parts of the country. Almost 2,000 people are confirmed dead. Republicans are trying something they've never tried before. President Trump says the GOP will hold its first ever midterm national convention this September. What party leaders hope to gain?
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. President Trump also remarking on the U.S.-Iran talks, saying that recent meetings in Qatar went well.
As far as things are going, the denuclearization of Iran is moving along well. They've had very good meetings, and we'll see. We hit them very hard for 3 nights, as you know, but we're getting along very well. So I call it the denuclearization, and it's all taking place. It's all going well. The stock market is setting records virtually every day. The oil price is way down. We're down at 68. I see it hit 68 today. That's lower than when I started the, I guess you could call it an attack on Iran so that they never have a nuclear weapon. So the oil price is now lower. The retail prices, the gasoline is coming down rapidly.
U.S. Envoy Steve Witkoff and President Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner are meeting with mediators in Doha to discuss the Iran deal. But Qatar's foreign ministry says there are no planned direct talks with Iranian officials. Vice President J.D. Vance says the U.S. has leverage in discussions with Iran, while warning that Tehran's next steps will determine whether diplomacy succeeds or not. Speaking on Fox
The Iranians have not hit ships in the last couple of weeks, and the oil is flowing in the Strait of Hormuz, in part because the president made very clear that if the Iranians hit ships, we were going to hit back. So, you know, it's going to take sometimes the carrot and the stick here. But, Laura, I actually think that the United States is in a great position. There are people within the Iranian system who recognize the way that they've done business for 47 years is a mistake, and they want to turn over a new leaf. You also see some resistance, some of the old hardliners, some of the old radicals who don't want to change their behavior. Part of what we're trying to do in this negotiation, Laura, is to see how serious they actually are. We care a lot less about what the Iranians say. We care a lot more about what they do. We see some positive signs. Obviously, we see some negative signs. What the president has told us is work the problem, see where the negotiation is going to lead, and if it doesn't lead to a successful resolution on the diplomatic side, we still have a lot of optionality.
Meanwhile, oil prices saw their biggest quarterly drop since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. Brent crude fell about 43% between April and June, falling below $72 a barrel. The decline follows expectations that oil shipments through the Strait of Hormuz will continue to recover. Crude oil prices are now near where they were before the conflict began in late February. Analysts say higher production, softer demand, and the releases of strategic oil reserves also helped ease supply concerns. But some warn traders may be too optimistic about how quickly oil flows will return to full capacity. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visiting troops in southern Lebanon. The Israeli leader saying soldiers will not leave the region until the threat of the Hezbollah terror group is eliminated.
Lebanon recognizes Israel, Israel recognizes Lebanon, and they say to both Iran and Hezbollah, get out of here. You have nothing to do here. Two sovereign states want to make peace between themselves.
Netanyahu says Israel can't let an army of terrorists sit on its border. Israel and Lebanon signed a framework agreement to end months of conflict between Hezbollah and Israel. The agreement links Israel's withdrawal from Lebanon to Hezbollah's disarmament, something the terror group rejects. The agreement calls for Israel to initially withdraw from 2 small areas called pilot zones. It did not say where they will be. The Lebanese army will gradually assume full security responsibility over those areas. A federal judge has temporarily blocked a Pentagon rule restricting reporter access inside the building. The rule required journalists to be accompanied by an official escort. The ruling came in a lawsuit filed by the New York Times. Pentagon officials say the policy is needed to protect sensitive information, but Judge Paul Friedman said the policy violated the First Amendment. The decision prevents the Defense Department from enforcing the rule against Times reporters while the case continues. The Pentagon says it will appeal. Millions of Americans with federal student loans are seeing major changes beginning today as a sweeping overhaul of the student loan system takes effect. The changes are driven by President Trump's tax law and executive actions. They affect about 43 million borrowers who owe nearly $1.7 trillion. The Biden-era SAVE repayment plan is ending, giving roughly 7 million borrowers 90 days to choose a new repayment option. The overhaul also introduces new borrowing limits for graduate, professional, and Parent Plus loans. Officials say the changes will simplify repayment and help curb excessive borrowing. Some student loan advocates warn the new system could mean higher monthly payments for lower-income borrowers and make graduate school less accessible. Major student loan changes are taking effect. Joining us now is Aaron Boxer, former special education teacher and CEO of Diversified Education Services. Aaron, good afternoon. Always good to have you on the show. So let me get your thoughts to start off here on the Biden-era SAVE repayment plan that's ended. So critics are arguing that the plan essentially shifted some of the cost of education from borrowers to taxpayers, and it's a program created by executive action, right, rather than legislation by Congress. Well, what do you think of the SAVE plan?
Thanks. It's great to be here. This is really in legal limbo right now. About 7.7 million borrowers are enrolled, and it's tied up in lawsuits arguing that it's too generous. It's pretty much dead, and they're not currently required, the borrowers, to make payments right now, but interest starts accruing again on August 1st. The new plans that Congress created, they're not ready yet. They're about a year out. So the real fallback right now is an older plan or an income-based repayment plan, which offers forgiveness after 20 or 25 years. But my advice is don't wait on SAVE. It is dead on arrival. And for now, looking into switching plans right now is very important.
Do you think the new plans could make repayment more smooth, more simplified compared to the old system?
It could. It gets a little bit tougher. There's a new repayment assistance plan that ties payments to income, but someone earning $80,000 a year paid about $180 a month under SAVE, and that jumps to roughly $500 a month under WRAP. So even the lowest income borrowers are now going to owe a minimum of $10 a month. And so it's going to end the $0 option some had before. And advocates do worry that it pushes struggling borrowers towards default. And there's a partial offset, which is that the WRAP waives the leftover interest, and then it can chip in towards the principal. So the balance shrinks instead of growing. But analysts are still expecting WRAP to be more expensive than SAVE overall.
Okay, so you gave a bit of advice earlier. Maybe you can give some more advice. If, for example, a student or a graduate is trying to see which plan is best for them for repaying their debt, what is your advice to these group of people?
My best advice is talk to the professionals, call your institution, and talk to the service providers. Don't buy into anyone offering a discount on some type of loan support. Just go directly to the source, because there's a lot of scams out there. One thing that's also really important is that what happens if you do nothing? Well, doing nothing is probably going to be the riskiest move. And that means you're letting the system or the government decide for you. And nearly 500,000 borrowers could already see payments spike because the most existing repayment plans were scrapped. But parents also who didn't consolidate their Parent Plus loans by today, they've now permanently lost access to forgiveness. And the SAVE borrowers who don't act are then sitting on a plan where interest resumes in about a month with no required payment yet. it's going to be a shock later. It's the inaction that has consequences, and there are financial ones that could follow you for years.
All right, got it. If you're going to do something quickly, but the worst choice is to not do anything at all. I want to get your opinions on other aspects that are taking effect as well. So there's not going to be any more automatic cover of the full cost of graduate and professional programs. What do you think the impact of that is going to be? Some people are saying this reduces educational choice, but on the other side, people are saying that many graduate programs produce poor outcomes anyway, so this protects students. What do you think about that?
Well, most importantly, I don't think that the taxpayer should be paying for other people to go to college. And with democratic socialism really taking in effect right now, I wouldn't have thought that in past years that would be something that people would want. But unfortunately, a lot of people want things paid for free. And the Graduate Plus loan, it's gone entirely for new borrowers as of today. And most graduate programs now have a cap. And for some, it's 100,000. For the ones that are a little more involved, like the legal profession and doctors, it's 200,000. But most grad borrowers already fall within these limits, but some will have to choose a less expensive program. And the repayment narrows to these two different options: a tier standard or this new income-based wrap, as I mentioned before, the repayment assistance plan, which still will qualify for other plans for public service loan forgiveness.
So do you think by doing this, limiting lending, could that also have the impact of constraining tuition growth by colleges? Because we have seen a tremendous amount of increase.
We have, but we've also seen the average cost of a public four-year institution is about $30,000 a year. That changes obviously by state. We need to have, hopefully states will buy in a little bit more and work on cost reductions, because what happens is the enrollment is going up, right? And generally speaking, when enrollment goes up, prices will generally go up. But we're also seeing more competition for the private institutions. They're going to have to compete. If you added up all the endowments for these private institutions, it's almost $1 trillion. So if they want people to become more attracted to coming to their institution, they might have to bend a little bit and dip into their piggy bank if they want to stay afloat. We will see probably the next few years some of these private institutions who can't compete start to close down, but it's very good for public institutions right now.
Okay, another thing, Aaron, the Department of Education also finalizing a rule that's going to determine eligibility of college programs for federal student loans based on how much their graduates earn after completing their studies. What do you think about this rule?
It's a very confusing program that they have going right now, and it's by design. There's two new repayment plans. Congress created that won't be very ready for about a year. And part of it is about capacity. The administration has cut the DOE. The staff has been chopped in about half, including about half of the Office of Federal Student Aid. And that's the office that manages all this. So what feels like confusion is often just a backlog. Giving a little more advice, don't assume that silence from the servicer means nothing is happening. You have to go to your account directly. Like if you didn't get your credit card bill, you wouldn't assume that you owe nothing. And the same thing goes for your student loan. Don't wait for something to happen. Make sure that you're very proactive and you talk to the professionals, talk to your service providers, and see which one makes the most sense for you. Because what works for one person might not work for the other. And you obviously want to factor in what's going to happen over the next few years, not just what is affordable right now.
Okay, Aaron, and before we let you go here, maybe you can give us an overall sense. How would you describe the picture right now for education, higher education in the U.S., and what's your biggest concern?
My biggest concern is that the big, beautiful bill, which was supposed to make this a little bit more affordable, make the payments a little bit more fair for everyone, not just for some of the low income earners. My concern is that in 2 years from now, there might be a change in the Senate or Congress, or even when we have a new administration that comes into power. And then we're going to confuse the borrowers even more who had planned, let's say, for the next 4 years. And then 2 years comes by, and then all of a sudden there's a bait and switch. And so people that were maybe benefiting from the current plan are now not going to be in good shape. So basically the consumer is being used as a political football, and education should not. Education has become political enough. We don't want to be using them as a political football. So I just hope that people really just look in the short term, the midterm, and the long term, and make the best plan that they could possibly do, because we don't want to start building more of this bubble that has the taxpayer in a lot of trouble right now. We have to fix what is a broken system in the student loan department, and that's what the One Big Beautiful Act is trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's a lot of things happening, a lot of confusion as well. We just have to keep on top of things, but really appreciate your comments today, your advice. I think that's going to help a lot. So thank you very much, Aaron.
Thanks for having me.
Now, the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullin is holding a press conference to highlight how President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill has revitalized the U.S. Coast Guard. Let's take a look.
Just in history, with investing almost $25 billion. And it all started with a year ago when I was still in the Senate, and we voted on the One Big Beautiful Bill, which was the most consequential bill definitely in President Trump's tenure, but also I think possibly in the recent history. When you see the investment, it's what good government actually looks like. It cut spending by $1.6 trillion. At the same time, we were able to cut taxes for no tax on tips. 85% of the individuals that are on Social Security has no tax on Social Security. No tax on overtime for the people that are working out there every single day, trying to do their best to provide a living. We put no tax on you for working hard. At the same time, we're able to make the investments, right? We're investments on securing our southern border with new technology, fighting hard against the drug cartels, going after the narco boats, bringing law and order and restoring law and order back to our streets. One death in an illegal's hand is one death too many. President Trump has made it a pivotal statement when he says we're going to restore law and order back to our streets regardless of what state or what city you live in. President Trump ran on that, and he's keeping that promise, and the One Big Beautiful Bill delivered on that. But at the same time, it puts our fiscal house in order. And so to be on this side of it now, seeing the results that are taking place, working with ICE, working with CBP, working with the Coast Guard, seeing what that investment means, seeing what we're doing every single day in our waters, on our borders, and in our cities on getting the worst of the worst out because we have continuous funding is absolutely remarkable. And then someone I have to point out, Representative Mike Lawler, who fought every day for SALT and the One Big Beautiful Bill. Now, be quite frank with you, we didn't see eye to eye on this. But this is what representation looks like. This is why you represent good leaders to go to Congress every single day and represent your backyard. That's what our founding fathers wanted. Our founding fathers wanted individuals that's going to go there and represent what the best of the best can offer when you elect the right people, put them in the right place, and they understand the value of the United States. So with that, we're going to stop and open up for questions.
Are you planning any particular surges in American cities? And also, we've seen somewhat of an increase in arrests. Is that a result of pressure coming from the White House, the administration, Stephen Miller?
Every single day, we allow our men and women, be it ICE, be it CBP, or one of the other 80,000 law enforcement agencies we have in DHS, to simply do their job. My perspective when I came in is I had the best individuals working inside the Department of Homeland Security through all 22 components. They're patriots, and our job is to protect the homeland. We're not necessarily surging. We're going after the worst of the worst every single day, and we work in conjunction with the White House and the president's policies and deliver on that. We're seeing our arrest numbers come up. We're seeing our deportation numbers continue to increase. Right now, we're deporting on average over 3,000 individuals. Actually, the average has been for several weeks now, over 3,200 individuals a day. 70% of those individuals we're deporting have outstanding criminal charges on them, or they've already been charged with a felony. 70% of those individuals. 70% of the individuals that are men and women throughout DHS arrests, be it ICE, CBP, or one of our other components, 70% of those individuals have pending felony charges or are current felons that shouldn't be on our streets. So when we go after the worst of the worst, which is exactly what we're doing, we're saving lives. This is a statistic I like to put out, but 50% of the individuals killed in Fairfax County, Virginia, are killed at the hand of an illegal. Over 41 individuals year to date have been killed in Tennessee at the hands of an illegal. 100% of those deaths are preventable because those individuals shouldn't be in this country. So when you say surge, we're surging every day because we're trying to restore law and order, regardless if you live in a red state or a blue state. But sanctuary cities create a safe haven for criminal activity, and it shouldn't take place. Regardless of what your opinion is about this administration, regardless of what your opinion is, if you're a Republican or Democrat, we should all agree we should want safe streets and safe cities. So there should be no argument in participating in arresting the worst of the worst. But because of some of the radical policies we have that's happening right here in New York, with the mayor that's not even wanting to fully fund the NYPD, which is, I would arguably say, one of the best law enforcement agencies in the country, and not giving them the resources they need, speaks volume of a socialist's mentality. Yes.
Operations in New York City. Can you clarify whether additional ICE personnel or resources have been deployed in New York and whether New York has been cooperative?
Well, we wouldn't give you our operational procedures if we were going to do it anyways, but either way, every day we're going after the worst of the worst. And because of some of the policies that we see coming out of New York, especially New York City, we are possibly having to flex a little bit more because we see a lot more criminal activity. People think that it's just the illegals that are here. The illegals, if you come around, it also has cartels that follow. We have serious gang violence that takes place. We've arrested some of the worst of the individuals that's coming out of New York City because they feel like it's a safe haven. And when they come in here, they also bring in tremendous amount of organized crime along the way. And then it spreads out to other cities that may not participate in the same direction that Madame wants to take this city. So we're going after the head of the snake. And if that's in sanctuary cities, we'll go to sanctuary cities to get rid of the worst of the worst. Yes?
The path forward is going to be with the Supreme Court victory on TPS. Are you going to be going after Haitians living in the country, Syrians living in the country? What's the path forward?
Well, I hate when it's phrased going after individuals. The fact is, TPS for certain individuals under the court ruling, they no longer have status. TPS was temporary. It was never meant to be permanent status. You had an opportunity while you were here to possibly try to change your status. Now that the court ruling has went out, you no longer have that option. You have to go back to a country that either take you or back to the country you came from. And if you deport yourself, which we will give you $2,600 plus a plane ticket to go home, you have the opportunity at that point to fill out it legally for a visa or another way to come back in this country. But you have to come in through our immigration systems and follow our laws, not illegally. But if we have to arrest you and deport you, that option of coming back in this country is off the table. So we would encourage everybody that fell underneath TPS, that is no longer temporary protected status for you, your time has expired. Go to our website, sign up for self-deportation. We'll help you get to the country that you came from, or get you to the country that are willing to accept you. Fill out the paperwork, and maybe you can come back and participate in the American dream.
You spoke about Mike Lawler. That's his big cause. He's got a lot of Haitians who live
Yes.
in the Hudson Valley. Have you spoken to him about this? And, it's big for the healthcare community here in New York,
Right.
too.
Mike and I have spoken almost daily. In fact, I've already talked to him today about this. He's trying to figure out the path forward. As I told him, he needs to encourage all the Haitians that are still underneath TPS status, or was underneath TPS status, to self-deport so they can have the opportunity to come back. So we're trying to work out, possibly even attach somebody with his office to help process the self-deportation. And then once they get back into the country they're going to, either a host country or the country that they originated from, to fill out that paperwork and streamline it. We have, listen, I didn't pass the laws, at least not now. I'm in a position to simply enforce the laws. And so my job is not to pick and choose which law we're going to enforce. We're going to enforce the nation's laws that's on the books. So when you say zero tolerance, yes, we have zero tolerance because it's the law. Yes, ma'am.
As you know, in the past year, there's been several security incidents involving top officials. Looking ahead to America 250, what do you consider to be the greatest security threat, and are you confident that the country is prepared to meet it?
We are confident through DHS because it's our responsibility that we're going to meet the needs, and we're going to have a very secure, through World Cup or through the Freedom 250 celebration. We're out there every single day. We deployed all of our assets. We're working great. Even in sanctuary cities, we have good cooperation right now with those individuals, making sure that our guests get to see what America is all about and really highlight the past 250 years and where we're going to be going over the next 250 years. So we feel very confident in the position. However, we still deal with the unknowns. Since President Trump has come into office, we have arrested over 1,900 known terrorists that came in underneath the Biden administration. These aren't people that are on terrorist watch list. These were 1,900 individuals that were already known terrorists that came in underneath the Biden administration. We know they don't have America's best interest in mind. So those individuals that we constantly fight every single day and go after with our partners at the FBI and DOJ and DHS, working hand in hand, trying to go after the worst of the worst to make sure that America can be safe. The unknown one, the one that we're not tracking, they do worry us at some point. But if you talk to anybody that's in law enforcement, that's always a concern of ours. But we are doing everything possible, from counter-U.S. measures to great cooperation with local, state, and federal assets, making sure that we're funded and we have the tools and the resources needed. We've been working on this for quite some time because this is President Trump's vision when he was in office his first term. And now to see that he's in office now, to be able to see it go through, he's the one that set the groundwork in this back in 2018, 2019, and we have been continually following and building that groundwork he laid out back then. We're building upon, and I think we're in very good shape.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
A candidate for Congress here in New York, Daria Liza Avila Chevalier, has said that she's not okay with any deportation.
Right.
Some other people who won primaries recently for higher office share similar views. Are you concerned about this latest crop of democratic socialists affecting your work?
Well, I would say we went past socialist and now moved into communist. I'm for law and order. Full stop. If you're not, we have nothing in common. Who doesn't want our kids to be able to walk on our streets safe? Who doesn't want to hear kids playing outside again? What parent? I'm a father of 6. And I have a grandchild coming in August. Who doesn't want their kids or their grandkids to be raised in a safe area? And you should feel safe, even if you're in New York or in Oklahoma, whatever state you come from. And so when you have a aspiring politician that wants to go to Congress and says that they don't want to enforce our nation's laws, especially when it comes to immigration and understanding the amount of people we're getting out of this country that are gangbangers, complete thugs, murderers and rapists. They're poisoning our streets. We've had more deaths per year because of fentanyl poisoning than we had in the entire time we were in Vietnam. And they're saying they don't want to get those individuals out of this country. I'm sorry, you absolutely have no place to be serving in Congress. When I first got there 13 years ago, I would never have thought we're in the position we're in today. I mean, unfortunately, the Democrat Party is not the Democrat Party of JFK anymore. It's the Democrat Party of Bernie Sanders, who openly claims to be a socialist communist. That's not the foundation of this country. We can disagree on policy. We will not have an argument when it comes to the foundation of this country. We won't let that happen. We won't let them tear it apart, and that's where this party is going right now. All right, thank you, guys.
And you were just watching the DHS secretary touting what he described as the largest investment in the U.S. Coast Guard since World War II, and it's nearly $25 billion, crediting President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, which they call one of the most consequential pieces of legislation in recent history, and also saying that per day, the DHS deports around 3,200 illegal individuals from the country, and 70% of those, Markwayne Mullen said, 70% are those with charges, so they're felons or pending charges, and these are the people that are dangerous to society that are being deported, and saying that sanctuary policies make America less safe. Okay, let's take a break now. Do children do best when both a mother and a father are present? A new poll shows strong support for the nuclear family. We'll speak with an executive director of Them Before Us about what the research says after this break.
My 15-year-old son, Ethan, and I had a fun and relaxing morning. We returned home, and Ethan walked to his best friend's house an hour later. I heard the ambulance scream by the street, carrying my beautiful boy. Ethan was shot in the head in his best friend's house with an unsecured gun. He had zero chance of survival. The father, the gun owner, he stored his 3 guns and bullets in a shoebox.
How do you feel?
That has to be the most horrific experience that a human could ever have.
David, would you give any advice?
First thing you do is not keep your ammunition with your weapons, and that your weapons need to be locked at all times.
We said we'd never give in to a meltdown.
Okay.
And we'd never babysit with a screen. We said we'd never let the toys take over.
Mariella!
Never leave the house looking, well, and never let them out of our sight.
Skylar, come here.
Cars get hot fast, and kids can be at risk. Before you leave the car, always stop, look, lock.
Every day, thousands of kids start vaping. And I can't let this happen to my kid. Of course, it's awkward to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping. Hey, bestie, how sketch is me? It's hard to get their attention. Ready? Go. Yes, look at that. You even turn yours over. So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending. Right, backpack kid?
Let's do it.
First, invite your kid to do the vape talk. Let's try this. All right.
Why is he here?
Yeah, I gotta get it trending, honey.
Come on.
To the left. To the right. Let's go.
Oh, honey, can we talk?
Yeah, what's up?
I see a lot of your friends vaping.
Visit talkaboutvaping.org for tips on when and how to have the vape talk.
The Greater Than Coalition released a national survey of conservative and moderate voters, and there is overwhelming agreement that children should have both a mother and a father in their upbringing. Joining us now to discuss is Josh Wood, Executive Director of Them Before Us. So Josh, thank you for coming on the show. First off, for our viewers who may not have seen the poll, can you just walk us through what are some of the key findings in this poll?
Yeah, well, thanks for having us. This was a poll that confirmed what I think a lot of us know intuitively, that children need a mother and father. That's the top line here was 96% of voters said it's important to be raised as a child by an involved mother and father, which again seems like common sense. 82% said it is that no child should ever be denied or deliberately denied a mother or father. 78% said that when a child's need for a mother and father conflicts with an adult desires, the child should come first. And 63% of those surveyed agree that children are harmed when they lose their mother and father to be raised in a same-sex household.
So you said this poll just shows common sense. I mean, the fact that we even need a poll like this now, it's kind of telling, because I don't know if we would have needed one, let's say 5, 10, 15 years ago, right? But I want to ask you this as well. Would you be able to speak to the research, and what does that say for children's outcomes when both parents, a mother and a father, are involved?
Well, you will see proponents of same-sex households arguing that a child who loses their mother or father to be placed in this household will do just fine. The problem is, we know from research across the board, whether it was a child who was placed into adoption through tragedy, maybe they lost their parents, or a child that was conceived through a donor to an opposite sex couple, that's a mother and a father, but they used a sperm donor or egg donor. We know from decades of research that those children suffer. They explain that they have a challenge not knowing their identity or where they came from. And the only place where we see sociologists or researchers pushing this no difference ideology is when it comes to being a child being taken from a mother or father and then placed into a same-sex household. So it really makes you begin to wonder why, when politics get involved, does it suddenly become no different for the child to be with two women or two men?
Okay, and do the kids become better people? Do they become more moral, contributing members of society when they grow up, when they have a mother and a father?
Well, what we know is that in every arrangement, whether you're talking about upward mobility, you're talking about mental health, lifetime wages, educational attainment, the child who is raised by their mother and father does better than any other construction we've ever found in society. So when we talk about this, when we talk about putting the needs of the child first, you look at a number of different categories. We know that when a child's raised in that household, they do best. So we as a society, that's all the Greater Than campaign is trying to say, is that we should as a society be organizing our laws around prioritizing that family, the child's right to be raised by their mother and father.
And I mean, these questions I'm asking you, I have to chuckle a little bit because of how simple they are. I don't think I'll be asking these questions, like I said earlier, years ago. But here's another simple question. Are there differences in the roles mothers and fathers play in a child's development?
Well, as a father myself, I would say absolutely. It takes a mother and a father to create a child. We think there's something that's important about them staying to raise that child. It's crazy to me that even 3 or 4 years ago, we were making claims that you had to have a number of men or a number of women on a corporate board. There was something about their unique perspective. The culture told us that if we couldn't run a major company without a male and a female having their perspective heard. But suddenly, when it comes to the most important institution on earth, raising a child, the structure of a family, suddenly we don't need that kind of representation, even though it's inherent to how a child's created. I mean, it just goes to show you the lunacy here that we've constructed one alternative arrangement mainly to make the adults happy. We didn't stop to ask what would be best for kids.
Right. Well said. Why do you think that is? Why do you think we've seen declining rates of stable two-parent households, a mother and a father, over years? Why is this happening?
Well, I mean, I think over the last 40, 50 years, look at all the things that have changed in culture, from the rise of pornography in our pockets to pornography, to the birth control pill, to no fault divorce, and it leaving a generation of children detached from their mother or father because they're living in two different households. I think people began to say, man, marriage became an institution they didn't feel like they needed. And we have to get that back. I mean, we know that marriage is the most stable institution. It's the best place to raise kids. We have to reaffirm that and celebrate it in culture instead of all of our movies and TV shows talking about how, marriage is essentially a death sentence. No one should want to be in that. And even talking about how kids are a burden and why would you want them? I think we have to see a resurgence in idealizing what is best for kids, which is marriage. And by the way, the happiest people in our society are married mothers and fathers raising their own children. You just wouldn't know that from the TV shows you watch or the social media you consume.
You said the happiest people are married people with kids. What has been the effect then of this decline, where we don't see that, where we don't see the nuclear family? What has been the effect of that on society?
Man, well, we're going to continue to see it over the next generation. People who were putting off child rearing, putting off starting a family, putting off marriage for other considerations, whether it was travel or work or career, they're going to find that the thing that gives us purpose and meaning later in life is ultimately the ability to build something that'll grow beyond yourself, the ability to have all your grandkids gathered around you. I think that culture has really sold a lie about marriage being a trap and kids being, a burden. And they've missed that while it is short-term very difficult, and the studies show that you do take sometimes a short-term dip in happiness, but fulfillment and purpose and a long-term health is seen far greater with those people who chose to marry and have kids than those that didn't. And that's just the data. We know that to be true. Anyone who's had kids knows it's hard, it's difficult, but the rewards leave it so that you never question whether you should have had them or not. The blessings far outweigh that. But again, we have to break through some of the cultural propaganda to tell people that while they're still in this window where they can get married and have children.
So one last question here, Josh. With all the culture surrounding us that is going against what America was founded upon, the values, how do we maintain those values despite the culture around us?
Well, I think definitely the culture is going to do what it's going to do. It's going to try to brainwash people into believing, again, that this is a trap. What we have to do, especially those of us who are married and have children, and especially those of us who have been victims of, whether it was coming from a divorce or your donor conceived, we need to share the stories of, man, that was difficult for me to not be connected to my father, or, man, I loved having a secure and stable home. Being raised in a married household was best for me. I did best, my kids did best. We have to be willing to share those stories and essentially give the broader culture a perspective on how life-giving and meaningful it can be to have children, and how you're not settling down isn't a negative or bad thing, but that it does bring you happiness, joy, fulfillment, and purpose in your life.
All right, Josh, well said. Thank you for speaking with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Coming up at the World Cup, Congo giving England all they can handle in the knockout round. NTD's Dave Martin joins us with all the latest after this.
With Select Specs £6 specs, you can get 10 pairs of prescription glasses for just £60. That includes frames, prescription lenses, and delivery free to your door. And what makes this really special is each pair can have a different prescription. So it's glasses for everyone. SelectSpecs.com/£6. 10 frames, all with prescription lenses and delivery for just £60. You don't get that on the high street. Right now you can save an extra 5% with offer code CG5OFF.
Today's seniors are enjoying life more than ever before, and part of that comes from the independence of driving.
However, car insurance for older drivers becomes more expensive the older we get.
Just because I'm a senior, and maybe you are too, do we really have to pay outrageously high insurance rates? Well, the answer is no, we don't.
When was the last time you checked to make sure you're paying the lowest available rate? Well, maybe it's time to give your car insurance a tune-up. just to make sure your rates are running properly.
You change your oil, you change your tires. Well, maybe it's time to change your car's insurance company.
Are you paying too much for your auto insurance? If so, you're just throwing your money away.
So the only way to really know if you're paying too much is to call the number on your screen.
1-800-952-5196. 1-800-952-5196.
You'll speak with a licensed insurance agent. They may have an insurance plan that could lower your yearly premiums by hundreds of dollars.
Seniors can save money on their car insurance.
So call right now and find out just how much money you might be able to save.
Come on, call now.
You may be able to save a lot of money, maybe hundreds of dollars a year. Just call the number on your screen and speak with a licensed insurance agent.
Yes, it is possible for seniors to save on car insurance. You could lower your premiums by hundreds of dollars a year.
As a responsible driver, you always check your gauges, right? And you check for other cars and pedestrians. You check your oil and you check your mirrors.
Well, now is the time to check on your auto insurance rates. You need to make sure that you're not paying more than you need to. Call the number on your screen right now.
1-800-952-5196. 1-800-952-5196.
I am blind, but I need not see. I know this road is there for me. If I'm really free.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Be your own hero.
And now for your sports news, we're joined by NTD's Dave Martin. Dave, I got to mention before we get started here, I've been enjoying these daily chats that we get to have.
I enjoyed these too, Don. It really helps that we have like the World Cup to talk about too. That's been an added bonus.
Yeah,
we got
exactly.
some tennis. I enjoy just talking to you though, Don.
Yeah. Even without the sports, we can just have, this segment, just talk about random stuff.
Yeah, hopefully people will find that interesting.
Hopefully they will. But today we don't have random stuff. We have actually some news, tennis, NBA. But as you mentioned, let's start with the World Cup. We've already had one game already with England needing some late heroics to get past Congo.
Yeah, Congo scored in just the 7th minute in this one. They seemed to lead like 1-0 forever. England was shut out until the 75th minute. That was before Harry Kane headed one in to tie it. Then just 10 minutes later, he kicked one in for the difference. Crowd, of course, went crazy. England won this one 2-1. Really an incredible late game performance by Kane after Congo. Their defense, their goalkeeping held up for so long. So England will advance to play Mexico next. That game will be played in Mexico City, so it will not be an easy one there for England. So that's that England-Congo first of 3 matches today. At 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Belgium plays Senegal out in Seattle. Now, Belgium won their group. That's Group G with a win and 2 draws. Senegal, meanwhile, finished 3rd in their group behind powers France and Norway. Then at 8 p.m. tonight, U.S. faces Bosnia and Herzegovina out in Santa Clara, California. Now, the U.S., of course, won Group D with their first back-to-back World Cup wins in nearly a century. Bosnia finished 3rd in their group behind Canada and Switzerland. So all eyes are going to be on the match there tonight. It's going to start 8 o'clock.
I remember asking you who was your favorite team to root for. You said it was the U.S. Do you have a number 2 team?
I do not have a number 2 team.
That's all the way.
I can't say I've always followed international soccer. I mean, I kind of like rooting for the underdog. To be honest, there have been so many games in this World Cup where the underdog has taken the early lead. We saw that a couple of days ago with Japan nearly getting the upset there on Monday. We've really seen several games here. I mean, even the Canada game on Sunday, that was scoreless until the stoppage time, which I've already gone off on my rant about the whole stoppage time thing. But yeah, I don't really root for any other team besides the USA at this point. Who knows, maybe one of those teams I'll start to root. I definitely like to root for Messi in Argentina just because he's a lot of fun to watch. So I'll say that. But
his reputation.
His reputation. He is just magic with the ball. It's like watching Pele or Maradona back in the day, I will say.
I'll say one thing, though. Out of all the sports where I would choose to be a goalie, soccer will probably be the last one. And I'll tell you why. Because every time somebody shoots, you have to jump, and then you have to inevitably fall back on the ground. So every time somebody shoots, you have to, sort of be thrown onto the ground. I just don't want that for myself.
Yeah, plus you don't have much you don't have any padding on besides on your hands. If you're a goalie, you've got tons of padding on. That net behind you is kind of small. Granted, that puck is coming at you pretty fast and definitely can hurt you. But I would think someone tall like me would do well as a hockey goalie maybe. I don't know. I've never tried it before. I don't want to try it, to be honest with you. But I agree. You're kind of a sitting duck out there as a goalie, I would say.
Yeah, all you're wearing a T-shirt. But let's talk about tennis now. All-time great Serena Williams lost her return to Wimbledon singles yesterday and might have suffered an injury as well in the process. So what is the latest?
Yeah, Williams fought valiantly there against 87th ranked Maya Joint, ultimately lost in 3 sets. Afterwards, her agent released a statement saying, quote, Williams tweaked her right knee at the end of the first set. Now, Williams admitted the injury today in a social media post saying she'll be, quote, be doing everything I can to be ready for doubles. Now, her and her sister Venus are scheduled to play their first doubles match at Wimbledon on Friday. We'll actually have to see if that works out, though. Obviously, if Williams can't go, they would have to forfeit. Now, elsewhere today at Wimbledon, number one ranked Jannik Sinner won in straight sets on the men's side. Elsewhere, former U.S. Open champion Daniel Medvedev, ranked 9th in the world, won in 4 sets. Ditto for 10th ranked Flavio Cavalli. Meanwhile, 7-time major champion Novak Djokovic is in action right now against Stefanos Tsitsipas. On the women's side, top-ranked Aryna Sabalenka won in straight sets. Ditto for 4th-ranked Jessica Pegula, and as well for fellow American Coco Gauff, who won in 3 sets. So that's second-round action today going on at Wimbledon. Being about another week and a half before they get to the finals there.
Are these matches outdoors? Because it's pretty hot.
Yeah, these are outdoors.
Wow.
Yeah, they're going through that heat wave out there.
Wow.
They're having the same issue actually at the French Open about a month ago, if you remember that. That really seemed to come into play. Like number 1 ranked Jannik Sinner, he did not look, I don't know if you remember the highlights of him, like he was just like standing over at one point. He was not even moving. Yeah. Lost the 3rd, 4th, and 5th sets like that. I gave him credit for just staying out there. Clearly something was not right with him at that match, but he stayed in there anyway.
They should move indoors where there's AC, but I don't know.
I think that we're at Wimbledon. Some of the major tournaments now have like the main stadium they can close the dome in. So I don't know if that means they have air conditioning, though, but then close it for at least like the rain anyway. All right?
Okay,
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay, at least they won't be wet from the rain. That's, baby steps here. Okay, let's talk about NBA. LeBron James announcing yesterday he's not going to be returning to the Lakers. What's the Lakers going to do?
Well, already ESPN reporting they're trading some future draft picks for a top-line center. That's Utah's Walker Kessler. They would then sign him to a 4-year, $130 million deal. Now, this trade has not been confirmed by either team. Now, James was making just over $50 million himself last season, so this acquisition would seem to take up some of that, maybe $30 million, some of that salary cap space left by his departure. It also seems to fit into what the Lakers want to do surrounding Luka Doncic. Doncic definitely likes to have a center that he can throw like alley-oops to. Now, Kessler, though, would not come cheap. Lakers would reportedly be sending first-round picks in 2031 and 2033, plus the right to swap first-round picks in 2028 and 2030. Now, for LeBron, I don't know if he's looking for another $50 million payday. Maybe more interested in playing for a title contender. Maybe it's Golden State, which reportedly has had interest in him. Maybe he teams up with your guy Steph Curry out there. And
I just saw him on the B-roll behind you.
Yeah, I think they could have like the best over 30 team. The Golden State out there. Curry is what, 38 right now? James is 41. You've got Draymond Green is, I think, 36. You've got Jimmy Butler, 35. It would definitely be an older team. They would definitely need help on defense, but certainly offensively, they would seem to be one of the best teams out there, the way it's constructed in my mind, anyway.
Yeah, and the good thing about that is they're playing indoors, so there's...
Yeah, you don't have that heat outside. Maybe they might make it extra cool for these older guys there if they do that.
Yeah, they probably need it. But thank you for speaking with us, Dave, today. Always fun.
Thank you, Don.
Okay, just weeks after a fiery explosion, space company Blue Origin is teasing its next chapter and a timeline for when it might fly again. Here are the details.
We watched it erupt in a fireball in the night. Now we're getting a peek at the comeback. It's been just more than a month since Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket exploded, decimating Launch Complex 36 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. While the company says the cause is still under investigation, it's announcing it'll try again by the end of this year with a redesigned launch pad. Releasing a video showing renderings of what it'll look like once completed, saying they'll use a new horizontal-vertical integration, which means putting the rocket together at a horizontal integration facility, then using a crane to lift it into vertical position where the final payload is placed on top, making it ready for launch. An ambitious effort for a decade-long documentation of the night sky is underway. The Vera C. Rubin Observatory in Chile has begun what it calls its Legacy Survey of Space and Time. It's a 10-year survey of the southern sky using the observatory's 3,200 megapixel camera, the largest digital camera on Earth, with the stated goal of creating an ultra-wide, ultra-high definition time-lapse record of our universe. Each point in the sky will be photographed 800 times during the survey. Researchers hope that data will unlock mysteries of the distant universe. Under the cover of the night sky, a bear took a jaunt around an Oregon town. Its presumed search for a snack interrupted by a police officer's bright spotlight. For the next few minutes, following along as the bear sauntered down the road, even making sure the wild animal didn't dart out into the road. Eventually, video shows the officer able to corral the black bear and escort it to a nearby river where it would be safer.
A U.S. military helicopter is down in the Arabian Sea. One of the 4 crew members is missing and a search is underway. We'll tell you about this after the break. Stay with us.
Introducing the Quest-Wise Soothing Herbal Eye Patches. It comes with 30 pairs and can be used to help combat tired and strained eyes. The natural herbal formula provides a cooling, minty, and refreshing effect that stimulates natural tears and awakens your tired eyes. Placing the eye patches around your eyes helps to reduce dryness and massages acupuncture points. They can be worn while reading, studying, using electronics, and provide hours of long-lasting relief.
Kids love it. Parents trust it.
Obviously.
Explore GJW Plus Kids Series and Ganjiong Campus courses led by expert educators.
This is spectacular.
Children will learn values like respect, responsibility, and knowledge in language, science, and more.
Wow.
All while having fun.
Perfect.
Subscribe today at GJW Plus Kids, where learning meets fun.
It's finally here, our second annual mega sale. This sale only comes around once a year, so take advantage of the best offers ever while you can. For example, save 50% on our Giza Dream bed sheets, as low as $29.98. And for the first time ever on TV, MyPillow mattresses and MyPillow mattress toppers, as low as $99.98. And you save 50% on our Lux Pure 6-piece towel sets, regular $69.98. Now only $39.98. And our best-selling standard MyPillows, regular $49.98, on sale for $17.98. Wait on it, mega sale, only $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our second annual mega sale. But wait, there's more. To make the mega sale even more special, when you order right now, Your order's going to ship absolutely free.
I tell my son, I love you every single day. I love you. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted.
Welcome to NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. President Trump says nuclear talks with Iran remain on track, but warns military options are still on the table if diplomacy fails. Plus, the president takes the new interim Air Force One to North Dakota for a major patriotic celebration. A U.S. military helicopter is down in the Arabian Sea. One of the 4 crew members is missing and a search is underway. New charges against alleged Tren de Aragua members. The Justice Department says the suspects entered the U.S. illegally and is blaming the Biden administration for letting them in. Another Democratic incumbent is out, defeated by a Democratic socialist in Colorado. The growing trend on the left and why Republicans say voters should pay attention. Republicans are trying something they've never done before. President Trump says the GOP will hold its first ever midterm national convention this September, which party leaders hope to gain. Rescue work continues in Venezuela a week after 2 major earthquakes hit parts of the country. Almost 2,000 people are confirmed dead.
This is NTD Newsroom, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Thank you for joining us. A packed day for President Trump as he takes the inaugural flight on the new interim Air Force One. He's flying to North Dakota for the grand opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, all just in time for America's 250th birthday. NTD's Washington correspondent Jack Bradley joins us now. So Jack, start us off with the latest efforts on the Iran peace deal, if you would.
That's right, Don. So President Trump today elaborating on how technical talks between the U.S., Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, and mediators of Iran are going. Take a look.
As far as things are going, the denuclearization of Iran is moving along well. They've had very good meetings, and we'll see. We hit them very hard for 3 nights, as you know, but we're getting along very well. So I call it the denuclearization, and it's all taking place. It's all going well.
But if they don't go well any longer, the U.S. has options to strike Iran with the U.S. military assets in the region. President Trump has said that has shown that he'll re-engage the Iranians when they strike oil tankers transiting through the Strait of Hormuz. But his preference now is a peace deal, and the price of oil we've seen coming down. Now, Vice President J.D. Vance delivering remarks to U.S. troops in Virginia Beach, welcoming home airmen who participated in Operation Epic Fury, those strikes on Iran. Take a look.
Their Navy is at the bottom of the ocean, and they have no ability to project power like they did even 12 months ago. If you look at what our own intelligence says about their nuclear program, they are further away from developing a nuclear bomb than they have ever been since basically the last 20 or 30 years. And that is because of you and because of your hard work. And finally,
now President Trump is making the inaugural flight to North Dakota, flying there from D.C. in the brand new interim Air Force One. This 747 luxury jet was gifted by the U.S. to the U.S. by Qatar, and President Trump said that initially he asked the Emir of Qatar if he could rent the plane until the 3 new Boeing 747 jets are flight ready for Air Force One in mid-2028. But the Emir instead gifted the $400 million jet to the federal government last year, one of the largest gifts Washington has ever received. Watch.
And I went to Qatar. I said I'd like to use it for a period of time because the other ones, as you know, are under construction. They'll be here in 2 years. And because, you know, the plane is 35 years old. So I said I'd like to use it. And the Emir, Tamim, who's a great gentleman, he said, no, I'd like to make a contribution to the country. So it was very nice. And we were able to do it in about 5 months, you know, bring it up to the presidential standard, meaning security-wise.
And now Trump's in North Dakota, taking part in the Freedom 250 train ride and touring the library. He's set to honor America and speak at the opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library. It's no secret that President Trump admires former President Teddy Roosevelt, the 26th president of the United States. The library is in Medora, North Dakota, where President Trump's speaking, because Roosevelt first went there on a hunting trip back in 1883 and fell in love with the area ever since, had a big connection with it. The library is 96,000 square feet, featuring exhibits about the history of Roosevelt. And during the ceremony, he may speak more about the rise of socialism among candidates in the Democratic Party, and more than 24 far-left candidates have now won their primaries in this election cycle thus far. Don?
So as well, President Trump is touting a major private sector investment in his new Trump Accounts program. What did that administration announce today?
All right, so President Trump is announcing that the semiconductor manufacturer, Micron Technology, will invest $250 million in the Trump Accounts program. The president called it the largest corporate investment of its kind and said it'll help provide millions of American children with a stronger financial foundation. And he was also praising Micron CEO, saying that the investment demonstrates confidence in his economic agenda. He says, quote, the massive investment will help millions of American children and families get a strong start in life and give them real financial security. Now, the Trump accounts are investment accounts for American children born between 2025 and 2028. And the federal government is providing a $1,000 contribution per child. Now, with more money coming in from Micron and other donors from private companies, and also allowing families to make additional deposits over time as long as they don't exceed $5,000 per year. Don.
All right, Jack, thank you for the updates. President Trump is celebrating Theodore Roosevelt's legacy today. Now he is speaking at the dedication of the new presidential library in North Dakota. Let's take a look.
There's never been anyone better.
So I know you're all here looking forward to what will be a significant presidential address down at the amphitheater, but before you go, we have one last thing. President Trump being here on this day of dedicating this library, it is a historic moment to have a sitting president here to help do that. We're ceremoniously, the president and I, going to cut the ribbon, and then we'll all see you down at the amphitheater after that. But President, let's grab a scissors. They did say no running with these. We'll be... audience participation. You guys count down from 10. How about that? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you all. We'll see you down at the amphitheater. Let's go, North Dakota.
And you were just watching President Trump and Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum at a ceremonial cutting of the ribbon at the opening of the Presidential Library of Theodore Roosevelt. And the president actually traveled there today by train, and making the first time he has done so by rail as president. But let's move on. We have breaking news right now. A U.S. military helicopter is down in the Arabian Sea. One of the crew members is missing. The U.S. military says an MH-60S Seahawk helicopter conducted an emergency water landing in the Arabian Sea today. The helicopter was assigned to the USS H.W. Bush aircraft carrier. The military says there are no indications of enemy fire. 3 of the helicopter's 4 crew members have been recovered and are in stable condition, and the military is searching for the 4th crew member, who is still missing. The cause of the incident is under investigation. The George H.W. Bush is one of 2 U.S. aircraft carriers remaining in the Middle East. It has been deployed there since late April. On Tuesday, Supreme Court ruled that states can ban males from competing in female school and college sports. To discuss this, joining us now is Maggie McNeely, Director of Government Relations for Concerned Women for America, the nation's largest public policy women's organization. Maggie, welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So first off, I just want to get your reaction right now to the Supreme Court ruling that males cannot compete in female schools and college sports.
Well, thank you so much for having me on today. First of all, we are so thrilled. At Concerned Women for America, we have actually been working on this issue for almost a decade. We have grassroots leaders in states across the country who have been working hard to pass these laws to protect women's sports. So we have been anticipating a Supreme Court case just like this one for a long time, and we were optimistic it would go our way, but we were just absolutely thrilled to have it come down in favor of protecting women's sports and female athletes. It was a 9-0 decision, so unanimous, the court upholding that yes, sex does matter in athletics, and we were just so thrilled to be celebrating this decision.
Okay, speaking of protecting women's sports, what does this mean for the young women and female athletes that you've been advocating for?
It's huge. What we have been arguing for a long time, and which I think is extremely common sense. 80% of Americans have said that this is common sense, that sex does matter, especially when you're talking about athletics. Men are just biologically born faster, stronger, greater endurance than women do. And we have worked with and met so many young women who have been involved in sports, and they train their whole lives. They spend hours every week perfecting their sport. And then it's just such an injustice for them to get to these competitions and these matches to find that they have to compete against someone who is just inherently has an inherent biological advantage over them. So this is a win for justice and for fairness for these young girls who just spend so much time and have worked so hard to achieve the highest levels in their sports. And it's just been so unfair for so long for them to have to compete against men. So we're so excited on behalf of them. Yeah.
Right. I'm also wondering if you can give us your response as well to some of the dissenting opinion that the justices talked about. For example, there's not enough nuance in this ruling. For example, people who are on hormones, do they have an advantage over biological women when we're talking about these sports?
I think at the end of the day, we're talking about biological reality. Someone can, think they're a girl and take hormones, but they're not a girl. That doesn't change what they were born as. And yes, hormones certainly do give an advantage, but again, it doesn't change who you are. And this is about biological reality. There really isn't nuance that's necessary here at the end of the day, because again, we are just defending what is true, and that is that girls' sports are for girls only.
And also respond to the argument, to the claim that this could, harm the mental health of biological males who identify as female.
Well, I would like to think about all of the girls who, again, have spent so much of their lives training for this, only to be told that they will never be good enough because they're not a man. That actually the best person in their girls' sports, in their girls' category, is a man. We never talk about their mental health, being told that they have wasted all of these hours of hard work. And I would also suggest that it's not loving to treat these young men, these young boys who are confused about their gender. It's not loving to cater to that. What is more loving is to help them embrace who they are, who God created them to be, and help them come to peace with who they were born to be. That's the more loving reaction, and that will help them get over their gender dysphoria and really help them move forward in life and be comfortable in the body that God gave them.
Okay, so just wrapping up here, Maggie, what's next for this fight to protect women's sports? After this ruling, what's next on the agenda?
So currently 27 states do have laws protecting women's sports. So that means that we have 23 more states that need to move forward. This is simply the latest step in this battle. It's a huge win, but we know we haven't won the war quite yet. There are still a lot of sports leagues and organizations that refuse to change their policies. There are obviously still a lot of male athletes out there identifying as women. So we will continue to advocate. We'll continue to push for the remaining 23 states to pass these laws. We will continue to advocate for the female athletes who have ongoing lawsuits against organizations and colleges who have played into this ideology. So we have a lot of work to do ahead of us, but this win is certainly worth celebrating. It is an important step in that battle.
Okay, just one last thing. You said a lot of work ahead of you. What keeps you hopeful? Tell us about this finally.
We're on the side of truth. Men are men and women are women, and that will never change. And so we're hopeful that we are standing for what is true. And another thing is that we have seen our country kind of play along with this ideology for many years, and yet here, the Supreme Court, this decision is evidence that we are swinging back on the side of reality. And that is an extremely hopeful thing, because I think the rest of the country is going to follow suit very soon. And again, 80% of Americans agree with us on this, and I think that number is only going to continue to grow. So I think that we will win this ultimately.
Okay, you say 80%. President Trump actually says it's 99% to one issue. But Maggie, really fun speaking with you today. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Another Democratic incumbent is out, defeated by a Democratic socialist in Colorado. The growing trend on the left and why Republicans say voters should pay attention. More news after this break. Stay tuned.
I've devoted my life to combining cutting-edge science with biblical wisdom, and I believe Healing Leaves Tea is the Bible's best-kept health secret. In Revelation 22, the Bible reveals the tree of life and declares the leaves are for the healing of the nations. Amazingly, science confirms what Scripture declares. These leaves support digestion and immunity, maintain healthy inflammation, and boost energy. So instead of another supplement, I created Healing Leaves Tea. It's caffeine-free, convenient, and delicious, hot or cold. Thousands are making Healing Leaves Tea part of their daily wellness routine, and now you can too.
Call the number on your screen for this exclusive TV deal and save 30% on your preferred customer order with free shipping and risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. As a bonus, we'll include the Beginner's Guide to Essential Oils, a $16.99 value free. Call the number on your screen to learn more right now.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-624-6556 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-624-6556. 1-800-624-6556. Call now.
The 8th NTD International Piano Competition welcomes distinguished pianists from around the world, celebrating the depth, discipline, and expressive power of the Baroque, classical, and romantic repertoire. September 1st through the 5th, 2026, New York City. Apply at piano.ntdtv.com, honoring the timeless tradition of the piano.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear, call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha 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 ha.
See, Smokey thinks I'm funny.
And a major investment in the next generation of Americans, Micron will be committing $250 million to Trump accounts. The chip company is offering employee matching up to $1,000 per child under 18. It will also provide a one-time $250 seed deposit for children with Trump accounts in states where the company operates. They include Texas, New York, Virginia, and California. Micron expects the initiative to reach 1 million children. This is the largest corporate commitment of its kind. The announcement comes just days ahead of the launch of the Trump accounts on the 4th of July. President Trump touts the investment, saying, quote, Micron is investing directly in the American worker and family. This is exactly what the fabulously successful Trump accounts were created to do. Give every American child a head start and a real chance to succeed. President Trump is addressing his 2025 annual financial disclosures. His filings with the Office of Government Ethics show that he earned $1.4 billion in income from his family's crypto ventures.
And I never speak to any of the people that run the money, but they're at big institutions, and they invest in whatever they invest in.
But critics say you're profiting off the presidency.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up. Everybody's profiting. If you have a 401k, how's your 401k done? It's about up 85%. Thank you, President Trump. So we're all profiting. I'm profiting because I have a lot of money and a lot of cash, and I give it to institutions. I don't know if they know what they're doing or not, but they buy a vast array of things.
The president says he doesn't get involved with the management of the money and has funds that run the money. Trump's financial filings show that his companies received almost $800 million from World Liberty Financial, a crypto venture he and his sons co-founded. The president splits that income with family members. It includes more than $520 million from sales of crypto tokens and more than $250 million from the sale of interests in the World Liberty business. And the Trump administration has chosen not to renew the USMCA trade agreement. This comes amid President Trump's efforts to reshore manufacturing and address trade imbalances with partners. The U.S., Mexico, and Canada met virtually to discuss the agreement, as it requires. The Trump administration has chosen not to renew the USMCA in its current form through 2042. But they say the agreement remains in force pending early reviews or yearly reviews until it expires in 2036. The White House says the trade deal did not operate to control the deficit as the president intended. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer adds that the U.S. will continue to engage with Mexico and Canada. They will address the agreement's shortcomings and U.S. trade deficits with these countries. The U.S. will meet with Mexico later in July for a third round of bilateral talks. However, no talks are scheduled between the U.S. and Canada. The ideological battle within the Democratic Party on full display yet again. A Democratic Socialist candidate ousts another sitting Democrat in Congress. NTD's Melina Weisskopf has key takeaways from Colorado's primary elections.
Longtime Democrat Congresswoman Diana DeGette from Colorado is the latest target from the far left of the Democratic Party. Yesterday, the Congresswoman, who's served here in the House for the past 29 years, lost her seat to the Democratic Socialist candidate, Malat Quiros. Quiros previously commented that the massacre of Israeli civilians on October 7th was the inevitable consequence of apartheid. House Republicans this week warning about the dangerous rhetoric from far-left candidates like her.
We've watched members of their coalition say Israel, our closest ally in the Middle East, doesn't have the right to exist.
Quiros' win is the latest in a string of victories for the Democratic Socialist movement in America that's led to the ousting of several Democrat incumbents here in Congress over the past few weeks. House Minority Leader and Democrat leader Hakeem Jeffries, when asked about this trend, told reporters this.
Ultimately, it'll be in the hands of the people of Denver, but the reality is we have an unsettled electoral environment.
Another progressive candidate, State Representative Manny Rutnell in Colorado's 8th District, won the Democratic primary, nudging past a moderate state lawmaker. Rutnell will now face Republican incumbent Congressman Gabe Evans in November.
The results tonight could not be more clear. Out-of-touch, far-left Democrats just nominated the most radical socialist Colorado has ever seen. Ban oil and gas, ban natural gas stoves.
This is one of the most purple districts in the nation, and Democrats are eyeing it as a pickup opportunity for November. House Speaker Mike Johnson telling reporters on Tuesday that the contrast for voters couldn't be more clear.
We have an open contest right now between the Marxists and communists and the Americans. Now, we've been saying for months that this is setting up, this midterm will be a contrast election. We've been saying a contrast between common sense and crazy. And now you can add another line there. It's common sense versus communism.
As for Colorado's primaries for the U.S. Senate, incumbent Senator John Hickenlooper won against the progressive challenger. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weiskup, NTD News.
President Trump says the Republican Party will hold its first ever midterm convention this September in Dallas. The president saying the event will highlight what he calls the Great American Comeback and showcase the Trump administration's priorities, including tax policies, border security, energy, and the economy. The September 9th and 10th gathering is designed to energize Republican voters ahead of the 2026 midterm elections. Traditionally, national party conventions are held every 4 years before presidential elections, making this one a first for a midterm cycle. And President Trump is celebrating Theodore Roosevelt's legacy today. Now he is delivering remarks at the new Presidential Library in North Dakota. Let's take a look.
Well, I want to thank everybody. This is an honor. We love you, and you've been so nice to me with those votes. We set every record in the book. But today we come to the heartland of America to pay tribute to a man who embodied the heart and soul and fight and spirit of our country as much as anyone who ever lived. And he's a very special man, and that's why I'm here, President Theodore Roosevelt. And he loved your community. He loved your state. And he was quite something. He was really quite something. And here, beneath the wide open sky of the Badlands, they call it the Badlands. I said, what's that all about? It's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool name, I have to tell you. On the steps of the burning hills, we dedicate a living monument to a legend, a statesman, a soldier, frontiersman, and a true American hero. This is a very exciting thing for me. And number one, I have to tell you, because this was an inaugural flight of a certain airplane called Air Force One after 37 years. And it's a great plane, and we had a lot of fun with Doug and everybody coming over. But we talked about Theodore Roosevelt a lot, because he was something that was really very special. Number two, because I'm honoring Theodore Roosevelt, and that's the man who I have long admired. He's one of the few. I don't admire too many people, I have to tell you. There's not a lot of people out there. And number three, I'm back in North Dakota because I won this state with the most votes in the history of the presidency. Thank you. Thank you very much. And number four, I have two teleprompters that aren't working, and here I stand. But TR once observed that I would not have been president about himself had he not been, and had it not been for the experience in North Dakota. He had a great experience here. It really shaped him so much. But TR once observed that I would not have been president about himself had he not been, and had it not been for the experience in North Dakota. He had a great experience here. It really shaped him so much. So there could be no better place for this new national treasure than the Rough Rider state. I met some of the Rough Riders. They are Rough Riders. They're good riders, too. They were very impressive. Today, 107 years after he passed into eternity, Theodore Roosevelt's Presidential Library opens its doors, and the small town, but very great town, and today it's a very famous town because that's all they're talking about, of Medora opens its arms to the entire world. The entire world is watching. It's not a big town, but it's a very powerful town because of what was left behind. I want to thank the thousands of people who worked so hard to make this project a reality, and you really did. You made it a beautiful reality. Very few places will top it. And starting with the man who put the library in its first funding. Think of it, did so much. He raised so much money. He did so many different things. He really did. He had a very complete life when you think. He was a real man of many forms of genius, and without whom it would never have been possible. Secretary of the Interior. And I'll tell you what, I thought he was an oil man, and he wasn't. I saw him on a debate because this guy was actually going against me. Can you believe it? But I thought he was very impressive. I thought his wife, Catherine, was even more impressive, to be honest with you. And so impressive that I said, he's a good man. That guy's all right. But he's been fantastic. He's been a tremendous Secretary of the Interior and the best ever. There's never been a Secretary of the Interior like Doug Burgum. Thank you very much. Thank you. Never been. And, you know, Doug called me. He said, would you do me a favor? He's really fantastic because I did not know the gentleman too well. But he said, Kelly Armstrong is fantastic. Would you endorse him for governor? And I did, and he won easily. Kelly Armstrong. Great job you're doing. Great job. And two of my very good friends, two warrior senators, tough cookies, tough. Oh, I wish they could get their way. We could get a couple of little things passed, like voter identification, like proof of citizenship. It's called Save America. You know, that's pretty good. Save America, can you imagine? We have 100% of the Democrats against it and 4 or 5 Republicans, if you can believe that. What are they all about? But these two people are with us all the way, John Hoeven and Kevin Cramer, senators. They're great. Two great guys. And a congresswoman who fights and gets what she wants, and she's very respected, Julie Fedorchak. Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Very, very respected. And we have our ambassador, Monica. Where's Monica? Monica Crowley. Fantastic. Acting Secretary of the Navy, Hung Kao. And we're building a lot of ships. North Dakota House Speaker, Robin Wise. Thank you. Thank you. Doing a great job. State House Majority Leader, Mike LaFleur. Mike. Thank you, Mike. State Senate Majority Leader, David Hogue. Thank you, David. And all of the members of the North Dakota legislature, I hear every single one. I'm not going to introduce you. You have no chance of that. I'll be here all day, but you're all here, and we love you, and you've been with us from day one. Thank you very much. Thank you. And the CEO, who's done a fantastic job, he took me around. I thought it would be maybe 10 minutes, 5 minutes. I've been doing this for 2 hours. Thank goodness I love the subject, or I would not have put up with it. Doug said you could come in. You know, I'm prosecuting a war, which we're winning very easily, by the way. But I said, Doug, let's fly in. We'll do 10, 15 minutes. I know I'm going to love it. And then I'll get out. Oh, absolutely, sir. So then time comes. He got me making speeches. I was over there 2 hours. I know more about that museum than the people that built it. But that's okay, because they did a very good job. I can report that they did a really good job. The CEO of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, who really did give me a tremendous amount of knowledge, about things that I never would have thought could have been possible about how great this man was, Ed O'Keefe. Ed, thank you very much. And two of my sons are here, Eric and Don. And Bettina, thank you very much. Don just got married. Bettina, thank you. It's going to be great. Thank you very much. But the members of the Roosevelt family and countless foundation staff, donors, and supporters, everyone's here. And I understand that one local construction worker delayed his retirement by 4 years just to be involved with the building, and they heard I was going to come. I was coming even when I wasn't president. I had agreed to come, and they said, well, when we do it, you're going to be president. So that was during that ridiculous time, that ridiculous 4-year period of time. They asked me to come. I said, I'd love to come. And I said, I may or I may not be president. They said, we don't care. We want you to be there. And I always remember that. But they said, you're going to win. You know that. If you run, you're going to win. It turned out we did quite easily, actually. And today I can tell you that we can see why it was worth it. It's really amazing. They've done an amazing job, beautiful job. And, you know, they've done it from love. Jobs that are done from love are always better than jobs where you sort of have to follow a plan. They made lots of changes, and every one of them was good, and I think I know about every one of them. After 2.5 hours, I learned every single one of them. But I want to really thank everyone who greeted me at the train station, because that was so famous. That was such a famous train. The last one was President Dwight Eisenhower, and he was actually a very good president. People don't realize he was a general, good general. And he built the interstate highway system. I'd say that alone is pretty good. He was a good, and now he was the last one. He was on the back of the exact same train. So the head of the railroad, he was fabulous, and they were explaining all about the train. And They said, wow, that's really some history in the crowd. We had thousands of people over there. It was fantastic. But I have the picture of President Eisenhower in the back of the train, the same exact train. I checked it out because I said, you know, we don't want to make any mistakes because the fake news is watching and they'll say it wasn't the same train. It wasn't the same train. No, they've been pretty nice to me lately. Look, when you do as well as we're doing, they have to be nice, I guess. They've been pretty nice. And I want to give a very special thanks to the Patriots who gave us such an incredible escort from town. We had more law enforcement. You know, I love law enforcement. Now, according to the people that are running on the other side, in many places, they want to defund the police. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. We see them all the time. They said they're social democrats. Doesn't it sound pretty? They're actually communists, but we'll get into that a little bit later. They're not going to win. They're not going to win anything. They got some very unattractive candidates, I have to say. During my first term, it was a privilege to sign the bill that helped get this incredible project underway and transferring 90 acres. We took it right out of the federal government. We ripped it away from the federal government. They don't know what's missing. They still haven't figured out what the hell happened. And today, the artistry and scholarship, technical skill on display right here and in that museum in particular is just fantastic. It's really great. Things that they actually gave me. You know, we're going to build our museum in Miami. They got me a lot of ideas, Doug. You gave me a lot of ideas, Doug. But they really did it well. Incredible. I even had a conversation with Theodore Roosevelt. I said, what did you think about the Panama Canal? Do you consider that your greatest achievement? How do you feel about the fact that the Democrats gave the Panama Canal away to Panama for $1? You know, he built the Panama Canal, preceded really by a man who was actually, he was the tariff king. William McKinley, he was the president, and they took his name off Mount McKinley, and I put it back on because it was sad, but I put it back on. But McKinley actually, he was assassinated, but he made tremendous amounts of money, made our country very rich. And then Teddy Roosevelt, as the vice president, got in, and he did some incredible things. But one of them, I think one of the most amazing, maybe a lot of people would say the parks, you could say a lot of different elements of his success, so incredible. But he built the Panama Canal. It was the most expensive project to this date, if you bring the dollars forward, ever built in history. 38,000 people died. They died 95% from mosquitoes, malaria, 95%. You expected almost to die. They paid workers from the United States. Mostly they came in, and mostly, I must say, men. It was a little different time. Today would have men and women, but they had all men. And they paid them massive amounts of money, more than they were making as workers in the United States. It's such a fascinating thing, the Panama Canal. I've studied it long and hard, and when they gave it away, $1. But they died from the mosquito and they died from the snake. They have a viper, a snake, that if you get bit, you're in trouble. If you get bit, you were dead. You were dead, and that wiped out about 5%. We lost 38,000 people building the Panama Canal, our people. 38,000 people died building the Panama Canal. It opened, and from day one, it was very successful. And we gave it away. We gave it away. It was the most expensive thing we ever built, and it was also the most profitable thing we ever built. That's a nice combination. A little bit like Venezuela. We did a good job in Venezuela. And we're actually doing equally as well with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Maybe you've heard of it. But think of it, the Panama Canal, so we gave it away. The first thing they did, you know what they did? They raised the prices for the ships by 4 times. And they didn't lose one ship. And then they raised it again twice. And they didn't lose one ship. All they did is make tremendous amounts of money for years and years. How stupid was that? And now China is trying to take over the Panama Canal, and we're not going to let that happen, okay? And that was not part of the script, because I don't really have a script, because this thing doesn't work. It's appropriate. The one on my right is slightly better than the one on my left. The one on my left is a waste of time. It's a little like politics. The one on my right is a little bit. It's not great. I'd give it about a 2 on the scale of 10. And this afternoon, I'm pleased to announce that through the National Endowment for the Humanities, we will be awarding the library $750,000 to support the opening exhibits during the first year, so they're getting a nice check. Getting a nice check. And as you know, this week, Americans all across our nation are filled with joy and excitement and anticipation as we prepare for one of the proudest moments in our history. 250 years, think about that. 3 days from now, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. What a document that was. And this week, we look back on 250 years of glorious freedom, and we took so much time and so much effort. And by the way, on July 4th, it's going to be approximately 107 degrees out. And I'm going to go and I'm going to make a really long speech just to show that I can do anything. It's going to be 107. But you know what? They also predicted the fight that we had 3 weeks ago was unbelievable at the White House. They said a week before, 6 days, 5 days, 4 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day. They said it was going to rain. It's going to be horrible. You're going to have to cancel the fight. Sure, we're going to have to cancel. This was a big event. This was one of the highest rated fights in history. It was on CBS National on a Sunday night, not a Saturday night. Saturday nights are called Death Valley for television. I know a lot about ratings. But Sunday night's very good, and it was broadcast on CBS, the network, and it got among the highest ratings any fight has ever gotten. But they said it was going to rain, and I talked to Dana White. I said, Dana, I don't know, this is bad. Sir, it's 100% chance of rain. I said, you sure, like maybe 90? No, 100%, sir. So it was 7 o'clock, and it wasn't raining. Then it started at 8 o'clock, and we were going to delay it till 12 o'clock midnight. I said, that's not good. But it wasn't raining at 8 o'clock. And it wasn't raining at 8:30. And we had the fight on time. And it never rained. Never rained. So you never know about weather forecasting, do you? With all the money we spend all that money. That's happened before. We had a big march in Washington. You remember that? That was going to be rained out, sir. We're going to have to change it. Rained out, never rained. So we're getting pretty good at that. But this is a time to rediscover the indomitable spirit that built our country and all that will ensure America always remains the most exceptional nation on the face of the earth. We're not going to let communists get in our way. We're not going to let anyone get in our way. Not the communists. It's a very unattractive lot. They're not going to do it. They're not doing anything. Those people, what they're doing, they're so stupid. They're so stupid. There could be no better place to begin this rediscovery than with the life, times, and passions of Theodore Roosevelt. He had great passion. The Colonel, they called him, was an American man. He was really a great he-man. He was an American man through and through. His chest swelled with American optimism, confidence, enthusiasm, pride. His heart beat with an unyielding sense of America's destiny and pride, and that pride was bigger. The biggest word for him, I think, was pride. He was a proud man. But I'm a proud man. I'm proud of our country. I'm proud that 2 years ago we had a country that was a laughing stock all over the world, and now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world, the most respected country anywhere in the world. But as a young boy, I saw that he loved Lincoln, and Lincoln's casket would pass through a nation torn apart by civil war. I don't know if you know that. I think Teddy Roosevelt, is probably his biggest. I was trying to get that today, and I think it came pretty loud and clear. Abraham Lincoln was the person that he most respected, most admired, most looked up to. He has a beautiful picture of Lincoln that he had in his one of his rooms, one of his very important rooms where he lived, and it's at the library. By the end of the 60 years, TR had transformed his country by the reach of his vision. He had a great vision, and by the force of his will, into one of the greatest places, one of the greatest empires, one of the most incredible countries, ready to take its rightful place as the strongest and most respected nation anywhere in the world. They didn't have people that they had no idea where they were. They didn't have people that couldn't walk up the steps. See those steps? They didn't have people that had no idea where the hell they were. They didn't have people that said, let's have open borders so millions and millions of people can pour into our country from prisons all over the world. They didn't have those people. They had strong, smart people like Teddy Roosevelt. Today, America is stronger and more respected. Right now, I'll tell you, the King of Saudi Arabia, I was with him a year ago, smart guy, good guy. He said to me, sir, you know, it's amazing. And this was as we were just started to really, and we've made a lot of progress since then. You see the numbers, factories being built all over the country at a level that we've never had before. But he said, you know, 1 year ago, during the Biden, Sleepy Joe, during the Biden administration, he said, 1 year ago, your country was dead. We gave up on your country. They were looking at China. They were looking at others to protect them. They were looking at other countries. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. He said that, and it's true. Now it's even more so than it was then. Hottest country anywhere in the world. So Theodore Roosevelt and his presidency fell exactly at the halfway mark between the founding in 1776 and the place we are today in 2026. And here are 5 lessons, and I wanted to write these because you can learn from some people, not from too many. From a lot of them, you don't want to learn much. But you can learn from him, and here are 5 lessons that are really extraordinary. Life offers to all Americans on the threshold of our 250th year. First of all, the life of Theodore Roosevelt reminds us that Americans never give up. We don't give up. You know, if you really look back 2 years ago, I could see people wanting to give up. I could see them wanting to give up. He never stopped, never quit, never surrendered in pursuit of his dreams. He had a dream, a very complex dream he did because of the way he traveled, the way he moved, the fact that he ended up here and turned out to be one of the most impactful things he ever did, ending up right here where we are. But his pursuit of the American dream never, ever stopped. It was really amazing. He was plagued by asthma, very, very bad, very serious. He was having a hard time breathing for much of his life. But he went out and he was told by his doctor that he'd have to live very quietly. This is as a young man, he was told you'd have to be and have a very quiet life. You have to be nice and easy. And he did just the opposite. He had a freaking wild life, right? He was wild. He just didn't want to take that. He didn't want to listen to his doctor. He didn't want to be quiet. He wanted to be great. He actually wanted to be great, and that's what he turned out to be. Young Theodore replied, Doctor, I'm going to do all the things that you tell me not to do, and I've got to live the sort of life that you've described. I don't care how short it is. I just want to live my life the way I want to live my life. It was great. I mean, who would say that? The next year, he sailed the Atlantic, and he summited the Matterhorn just to prove that he could do these things, just to prove his doctor wrong. He knew his doctor. He wanted to prove him wrong. Maybe it wasn't smart, but it worked out okay. But again and again, he summoned the will to transcend tragedy and triumph and defeat heartbreak with hard work. He worked hard, and I found that out. I mean, if you love what you do, it's not work. That's one thing I will tell you. People say I work hard, but it's not work, because if you love it, I love making America great again. I mean, I'm having a good time. So it's not work. We call it work, but it's not. In his library, we find his diary open to the page from 1884, when his mother and his wife died on the very same day in the very same house. Totally unrelated. Just a tragic moment, but unrelated. There wasn't an accident where both of them were killed. They just died. Then he came back home and he said, what happened? They're both dead. Different parts of the house, had nothing to do. It's just an amazing. Wife was very young, mother was older, but she was getting by. The light has gone out from my life, he wrote. But Theodore Roosevelt did not surrender to fate. He came here to Medora and made himself fate's master. I said, I want to be fate's master. He wanted to turn the tables, and he really showed that that's what Americans can do. That's what people can do, beyond Americans. That's what people can do if they really believe and they set their mind to it, and if they're competent. I mean, you have to be competent. You have to be smart. It's nice to say anybody can do it. Not anybody can do it. They'd like to say, oh, anybody can do it. No. But he was a special person. He arrived at this town narrow-chested, 140 pounds. He looked pretty bad to the people here, because they're pretty tough people around here, never changed. He was sick. He was shattered from the death of these two people that he loved the most. And his body and his spirit were pretty much broken. Not broken enough, but pretty much broken. If they were broken all the way, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did. He left here 2 years later. He weighed 40 pounds more, and he was strong as an ox. They say it was 40 pounds of muscle. I don't know how the hell that happened. They didn't have modern-day drugs. Of course, the modern-day drugs don't do that either, do they? In fact, they actually take away the muscle. That's not good. How are we doing, doctor? Well, you lost a lot of muscle. That's not good. But we didn't have any of that. He was 40 pounds of steel, the vital man of vigor, who would become president of the United States not that long after he left. Wow, that's amazing. I know what it takes to do that. It's tough. As a sheriff's deputy, he heard 3 thieves had stolen the only boat in town, so he built another, and over 3 days chased the criminals 300 miles. He wanted, oh, those poor criminals. We need a little bit more of that in our country, but we do pretty good. We have the best border we've ever had. We do pretty good. Think of it, we have the best border, strongest border. We went from the worst border in history in 3 months to the best border in history, so we do okay. But he was a man who could get crushed beneath a horse. He was crushed. Get up, and he kept riding. People said, you got to get back. We got to get you to, no, I'm going to keep riding. He could take a bullet to the chest, stand up, and keep speaking. He had a little luck. He had a lot of paper there. I saw it today, a bullet hole right through both of them. But so lucky, got lucky, but other people wouldn't have done what he did. He could feel sick, and he was often feeling sick. Deep in the Amazon jungles, he would get extremely sick. Maybe he shouldn't have been there. He knew what was happening. It was a very dangerous place from that standpoint, from the standpoint of catching some pretty bad diseases, and he caught them. And yet he carried on. When he was half dead, and most people think he was going to die, they thought he was going to die. They said, Teddy Roosevelt is going to die, but he carried on, and he was still standing. He never sat. He never rested. He just kept going. As America turns 250 years old, we look at this remarkable man and we recall that with effort, determination, and drive, there is nothing that Americans of competence cannot do. Nothing. Our ancestors were the people who raised up New York City from the marshes of Manhattan and then ventured into the Dakotas to carve up a life in the place that they called hell with the fires burned out. I don't know what the hell that's supposed to mean. Hell with the fires burned out. That doesn't sound so nice. But you did, and you become a tremendously wealthy state, a very successful state with low taxes. I mean, you have great government. You have great government, these people right over here and the people I introduced, but other places have good land. They have valuable assets under the land, and they're losing. You know, California was our third biggest oil drilling state, Doug, not so long ago. It's got tremendous amounts of oil. Nobody knows that. It was third after Texas. Years ago, it was a big oil drilling. Now they won't drill because the environmental lunatics have said don't do it, and it's not a state that's doing very well. In fact, it's doing extremely poorly. One of the most beautiful states in the world, best weather, best everything. From winning our independence to laying the railroads, taming the West, and planting our flag on the moon, nothing great that America has ever done has come without staggering effort, and it has never come easy. It's been really an unflagging persistence that drove us into greatness. We had the persistence of great people, great men, great women. They were persistent. They never gave up. This country was built on the conviction that just because something is hard to do, that only means that Americans try even harder, and they succeed almost all the time. Because whatever the obstacle, whatever the challenge, it's no match for American grit. And you have it probably as much or more than any other place there is. Maybe you have American grit. And second, Theodore Roosevelt reminds us all that to be a great nation and to be a free nation, we must have courage. Without courage, you have nothing. As TR once put it, freedom is not a gift that lasts long in the hands of cowards. How about that? Doesn't last long in the hands of cowards. What a great statement. I want to use that. I shouldn't have said it. I would have used that statement, and I wouldn't have attributed it to TR. And he would have said, oh, what a great statement that is. Trump made a brilliant speech. What do you think, John? Would I get away with that? Kevin? I don't know. Maybe not. But that's a great statement. That's a beautiful thing to say. But in the West, he tracked a 1,200-pound grizzly. My two boys know all about that. I say, are grizzlies dangerous? Is a grizzly bear dangerous? I looked at Eric and Don. They know more about that stuff than any human being, I tell you. They said, they're real dangerous, Dad. I said, are they violent, bears? They said, they're really violent, right, fellas? You said they are violent, but that doesn't scare them. Just be scared, okay, and get the hell out of there. But we want to keep you around. But when it roared, a big one, and it wanted to strike him, and it was going rapidly there, very fast. I just learned that on a beautiful airplane coming over here. He shot it squarely between the eyes, and it fell, touching him but not able to destroy him. When he heard a man here threaten to kill him right here, one of your tough people, is he around by any chance? Would you please stand up? He rode to his house. He rode to the man's house, knocked on his door. The man threatened to kill him. He said, I'm going to kill Roosevelt. And he declared that I've come over to see what you want to begin with, and How do you want to begin the killing? He said. How do you want to begin? I'm right here in front of you. How do you want to begin the killing? That's a little different kind of a guy. By a coincidence of history, it was exactly 128 years ago today that Colonel Roosevelt gave our nation one of the greatest examples of American courage the age-old chronicles of military valor have ever seen. After commandeering a ship to Cuba for the volunteer regiment, he personally raised and trained his incredible Rough Riders. The Rough Riders, I saw the Rough Riders. What the hell are the Rough Riders? Look at these guys. I wish I looked like that. If I looked like them, I would have been president 20 years ago. You guys are great. Thank you. They could really ride those horses. They let us in. They were going faster than the car. I said to my guys, is there any danger in the way they're riding? Yeah, there's danger, sir, but they're great riders. You guys are fantastic. Thank you. But he led the Rough Riders in their heroic charge up San Juan Heights. And with malaria coursing all throughout his veins, he was really sick. Colonel Roosevelt galloped into a hail of Spanish bullets, and when his horse came to a wire fence, he leapt off the horse. He jumped off the horse, and he started running toward the enemy. I don't know if that was smart, but he made it. Then he looked over at the next hill, and he grabbed his men. He said, fellas, let's do it again. And he did it again and again. The Rough Riders' victory at San Juan Heights led directly to the collapse of the Spanish line. Ah, the Spanish. They're members of NATO, but not very good members of NATO. They say, no, we don't want to help other people. What are we doing, huh? They are not behaving nicely, but they will learn. Soon after, they relinquished their grip on Cuba and Guam, the Philippines, and Puerto Rico, and they were all ours. We got them all. And speaking of Cuba, after many, many decades, it's coming our way. Coming our way. But for his actions that day, TR was celebrated as a hero and eventually awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's a big deal. And I'm thrilled to announce that just moments ago, 128 years after the Battle of San Juan Heights, it was my really great privilege to deliver his library and a very special little gift. In fact, I gave it to Doug and the president, a man who did such a good job in helping to build it. Doug raised a lot of money, got a president to be out here all day instead of 15 minutes. And I gave that medal. I took it off. We have a beautiful room, the Roosevelt room, this Roosevelt, by the way. And I took it off the wall, brought it over, and we just presented it. It's going to be in your library now for a long, long time. And it'll be displayed alongside the Medal of Honor earned by his brave son. His son was brave. It's genetics, you know. It's like the racehorse theory, right? Fast horses. Theodore Roosevelt Jr. on D-Day, he also received that incredible acknowledgement, except for Arthur and Douglas MacArthur. Arthur was his son, Douglas MacArthur, great general. They're the only father and son pair to receive our nation's highest military award for courage above and beyond the call of duty. Now, as I see my two beautiful sons sitting there, I think I'm going to give one to myself, one to them, and we'll have a threesome, okay? I'll pick out one of the two. I'll give them the Congressional Medal of Honor for something, for their genius at hunting. And I'll get one for taking on Russia, or something. And we'll have a third pair. No, I'm only kidding. But I have seriously thought about, now this is dangerous to say because the fake news is up there all over the place. And when I joke, I learned early on, don't be sarcastic in politics. But I actually said a few times that I've seriously thought of giving myself the Congressional Medal of Honor. Now, everyone knows I'm doing it with a chuckle, but then they report, he wants to give himself the Congressional. So I don't say that anymore. It's very dangerous to say. But it is the highest award, and they had a father-son get it, and that's a tremendous tribute to a genetic pool. As we enter the 250th year, Americans must never forget we are a historic and heroic people with a heroic spirit and a heroic purpose. And in this world, we are a very special group. American courage won our independence. It liberated millions and millions from slavery, rescued billions from tyranny, and sustained American liberty for 2.5 centuries. And we're not going to lose it to this group of losers. How can you imagine? Have you seen these people? Have you seen these people? The press is just building them up. They're losers, okay? They're nasty people, but they're losers. We'll teach them. We're going to teach them. They're not going to hurt our country. Without courage, there is no America today. If you don't have courage, we wouldn't have America today. We wouldn't be close. Third, Theodore Roosevelt believed in the America that really works and worked. He refused to accept failure, mediocrity, corruption, decay, or decline, and neither should we. That's why we can't take this nonsense that's going on right now. We're not going to take it. The first public cause he ever supported was a bill to fix the streets in New York City. He was very New York City and New York centric. You know that. That's where he came from. He was a pretty rich family. As the civil service commissioner, he fought tooth and nail to return federal hiring to a principle called merit. Merit. Isn't that nice to hear? And by the way, do you know, a little while ago, not in yesterday's decisions, where we actually had a good day except for birthright citizenship, which will work out some way, but we had something called, do you know what we're talking about? We had something that gives back tremendous power to the President of the United States, and we won that, I think, 6-3, and it was taken away from another Roosevelt. It was taken away from FDR in 1932. It was taken away, and for almost 100 years, that's been up for grabs. Slaughter, it was called, the Slaughter case. And a lot of people didn't think it would ever be won, and we won it 2 days ago in the Supreme Court. It gives power back to the president at a time where the president really needs power. It's a great decision. It was the most important, and we won some others too. It was the most important decision of all of them, I think. But we'll take care of the birthright citizenship because that was not meant for rich people from other countries. That was meant for, actually, it was meant for the babies of slaves. If you look at it, it was a month after the Civil War ended that it went through. That's because it was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for rich people from China. That came over in Gulf Streams. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So I believe, no, I know they got it wrong, but that's okay because they gave us something that nobody thought. But they also gave us something in one of the sessions a year ago. It was called merit. Our country now is based again on merit. So, if you're a student with very average marks and you looked a certain way or you acted a certain way or whatever, and you get into the finest school in the world, and then you're somebody else that looked a certain way or acted a certain way, and you have all A pluses, and you have all great marks and board numbers that are through the roof, way above other people, but you don't get in, they get in, it's all over with. It's based now on merit. I don't even know if people know. The fake news didn't want to cover it. To me, that's one of the greatest decisions. And that took courage of the Supreme Court, because our country became great because of merit. We became great because of merit. And when you look at those soldiers that we have standing there at Washington, D.C., where we ended up, so we had one of the most unsafe cities, places, our capital, anywhere in the country. And now we have one of the absolute safest. You can walk anywhere in Washington, and we fixed up the monuments, and Doug was fantastic. We had 78 monuments, fountains, statues. We have the reflecting pond, which we did the best job of all. They came in with box cutters and they cut it up, but it's working fine. We're going to let a little water out. We're going to redo it a little bit. But we fixed it up after 100 and think of it. It was 1922 that it came about, and from the day it was built, it leaked. From the day it was built, it didn't work. But when it did, when they had water, it was beautiful. It reflected Washington, the Washington Monument. It reflected Lincoln and Washington. Think of it. How beautiful. How beautiful. And these people went in and cut it up, and they got caught. We'll see what happens with them, but they got caught. But they put a big gash, 350 feet long. Think of that, 350-foot gash along the side of this very expensive material. But it will have it all. It's already good. We want to have it done for July 4th, and it was done for July 4th. And it's operating right now, but we'll let a little water out. We'll fix it up very quickly, Doug, and it'll be just as good. But we have, for the first time ever, what they don't say, we spent a very small amount of money, too. What they don't say is Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? Barack Hussein Obama spent tens of millions of dollars trying to fix it, and it was a disaster. Sleepy Joe Biden spent millions of dollars trying to fix it, and he was unable to do it. But we did it, and it works beautifully. It's a beautiful, we got rid of the algae, which they put in. They put in algae. Who the hell put in algae? They had a couple of people with signs, protect the algae. Can you believe this? This world has gone crazy. But today I'm proud to say that after 4 years of decline, America is once again a nation that has strong borders, is respected by everyone, all countries all over the world. They respect your president and they respect you. When they respect your president, they respect you. And we solve problems and we take things on, just like Theodore Roosevelt took things on. He took them on directly, right at them. He stared in their face. But our laws will be enforced. Our laws will be protected. And our law enforcement is respected again. You know, one of the things that I'm most proud of, when I was running in the campaign and even before I announced, you could not get people to join the military. We had the worst years we've ever had under Sleepy Joe Biden. He had no idea what the hell he was doing. And people were ashamed of our country. And you couldn't get them to join. And then we had a beautiful day, November 5th, and we won by a lot. We won by just a lot. It was incredible. We beat a woman named Kamala. We beat a brilliant young woman named Kamala who had no clue. She was the border czar. She never went to the border. She never called the border patrol. I said, fellas, you ever get a call from Kamala? She's the border czar. No, sir, she never called. I used to call them every other day. How we doing on the border? 2 months, and we had a border that was perfect. 2 months. But Kamala never called, and she never went. So for 4 years, she was the border czar. She never went to the border. It doesn't typically play out very well. And we had the worst border in the world. But these are the people that were running our government, that we were a laughing stock all over the world. Not anymore. They don't laugh at us anymore. A government that was honest and accountable was the #1 demand of the Declaration of Independence. They want honesty. They want respect. And on this anniversary, we recommit ourselves to upholding that righteous legacy. And that's why I'm here. I'm in a state that I won by a landslide, but I won a lot of them by landslides, in all fairness. But this was a beauty. This was a beauty. And I refuse to tell you. My son said, Dad, don't say that. So I won't. I refuse to tell you who got more votes, me or the legendary, and he was great, Theodore Roosevelt. I refuse to say. Because you'll say he's a braggart. He's a terrible human being. He's a horrible person. So I refuse to say. I told my son I will not say. Thank you. Thank you for giving me some good advice, Eric Trump and Don Trump. TR was also a staunch and ferocious opponent of a thing called communism. You've been hearing a lot about that lately. He said the doctrines of communistic socialism, if consistently followed, mean the ultimate annihilation of civilization. Other than that, he thought it was wonderful. As we're seeing now, communism is the greatest threat to our country, including, I believe this. You know, when I said it, I said, boy, that's pretty severe, but I think it's true. The biggest threat to our country, including World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, September 11th. I think it's a bigger threat, potentially a bigger threat than that, because it's like a cancer that spreads, and you better stop it fast. We will never let the United States become a communist country. Won't happen. And fourth, Theodore Roosevelt believed in an America that thinks big. He thought big. He was a big thinker. He was a tremendously big thinker. On the 4th of July in 1886, he spoke in Dickinson, North Dakota. Anybody from Dickinson? And said, like all Americans, I like big things, big prairies, big forests, and mountains. I want them big. He wants big wheat fields. He wants tremendous railroads. Let them be big and beautiful and powerful, and herds of cattle. He wants everything big. He wants big factories, steamboats. He wants everything big. It was cool. I mean, I thought it was great because I feel that way. I've always felt that way. Theodore Roosevelt wanted a big future, and he had big dreams for America. And thanks to him, we built the Panama Canal, that beautiful Panama Canal. That is not managed the way it should be, but we won't talk about that now. But he did all of these incredible things with parks and everything else. And we vanquished every foreign power from the hemisphere, and he raised the American flag on the far side of the world. He had our American flag planted on every part of the world. He would call, or whatever they did in those days, is the flag over there? Is the flag? He wanted that flag to fly boldly in other countries and other parts of the world. We built the Great White Fleet. Did you ever hear the Great White Fleet? We used to build ships. We're going to start very soon building them again. We're building them like, what do you see? Although we do build the greatest submarines ever in the world. We're 15 years ahead on submarines and other things. We do other things great, but we're going to start with the ships again. We used to build a ship a day. And now they got out of that. A lot of people that didn't know what the hell they were doing in running our country. Theodore Roosevelt understood that the grand and righteous ambition is not a vice, it is an American virtue. Having ambition is a positive thing, he said, not a negative thing. And it won us our country, and it's been among the greatest forces for good. It's been the greatest thing. Our attitude and the attitude toward our country and making our country great by some people. Not all presidents were like that. I don't want to get involved with talking about the individual presidents, but we had some good. We had few great. We had a couple. But we had some good. But we had some really bad ones, and they set us back very, very substantially, in particular the last one. A nation, like an individual, either rises or falls, builds or decays, lives or dies by this. As we look into the future of our 250th year, it's time that we get out there and we expand our aspirations and our ambitions and build the country that will inspire the entire world for generations. So that's what we're doing. Again, we have more money being invested in the United States of America by other countries and people than ever before, by many, many times over. The fake news doesn't like talking about it, but they see what's happening. Look at the stock market. Every day it's hitting a new high. I think it's 82 times now. In a short period of time, 82. And that's a good thing, not a bad thing. And all of you that have 401ks, which are many. Who has a 401k? 401k, yeah? Big percentage of the audience. Everyone that has a 401k is setting records right now in your 401k. Your wife, your husband, your kids, they all think you're a genius. I'm the genius. I'm the one. No, I'm only kidding. No, I told the story the other day for the first time. A policeman came up to me, a big, strong, good-looking guy, and he said, "Sir, I want to thank you." He was almost sort of crying. I said, "What do you want to talk to me about, officer?" He was standing on line. He was watching as I shook hands with people. Some of these people are extremely strong in shaking hands. They break your hand because they're so emotional. "Sir, thank you very much." The guy's an NFL offensive lineman. "Sir, I'd like to thank you very much." Wow. But he came up to me and he said, "Sir," I was leaving, "I want to thank you so much." "Why?" "My 401k is up 84%. My wife was disgusted with me for years. It was just going in the wrong direction. But it's up 84% this year. And I just want to thank you, sir, because it's really helped me with my marriage. My wife is respecting me again. She thought I was an idiot. This is a big, strong guy. But the women, you know the women rule. You know that. We know. All the guys in there, you know. This guy is a big, powerful guy, and he was petrified of his wife. But you know what? He said, my wife now respects me again. She thinks I'm a genius. She thinks I'm Warren Buffett. She thinks I'm one of the greatest investors. But they are up. But everybody in this room, there's not one person here that hasn't been going up 50, 60, 70, 80%. Your 401ks, you're making a lot of money. Everybody is. And we have more people working today than any time in the history of our country. We have more people working today than at any time. And we inherit a tremendous inflation problem from Biden. We inherited the worst inflation in history. 48 years, they say, but let's say history. It was the worst inflation, and prices were high. And those prices are all coming down. And you see fuel is coming way down. It's dropping like a rock, just like I said. Because those boats are coming out of the Hormuz Strait. They're coming out by numbers that nobody ever saw. We're setting records, actually. The oil is dropping. We have some great oilmen here. I don't know if they're happy or sad. I don't give a damn if they're happy or sad. I want the prices to go down, and the oil is dropping like nobody thought possible, but I told you it would. Total control. We have total control of everything. This is just the beginning of the golden age of America. We're in the golden age of America, and America is going to experience something that I can truly say, I believe, the best is yet to come. It's going to be coming, and it's here, but it's coming at speeds that nobody thought possible. Finally, Theodore Roosevelt understood that whatever our background, we are all Americans. We're Americans first, united under one flag. And we don't wipe our hands on a flag. Did you hear the person? One of our communist people. But they cleaned it up. The press cleaned that statement up. You know that, right? She didn't use the word hands. She used a different word, a disgusting word. They're disgusting pigs. She didn't use the word hand. They said hand. She used another word. You know what word I'm talking about. These people are a disgrace. That's why Theodore Roosevelt boldly fought for what he called the new nationalism. The word nationalism is a very interesting word. Putting the needs of the whole nation And all of these people above partisanship, lobbyists, crooked politicians. This is one thing with these guys, they are honest as hell. I'd let you know if they were crooked, if John or Kevin were crooked, I'd say, they're crooked pals, but they're honest. Maybe they're too honest, actually. We got to get a little action going here, fellas. But no, these are great politicians. They're great people. That's why you put them back in office in record numbers, the two of them, all the time. But TR knew that true patriotism demanded caring for the worker, the environment, and the health and culture, and integrity for the nation itself. He was something special. He was a really great man. He was a man the likes of which you may never see again, but we'll all get close and we'll all try and duplicate what he's done, because he was a man of unbelievable genius and unbelievable toughness and principle. So I want to just say that it's an honor to be with you. It's an honor to be asked to represent our nation in the opening of what will be a truly great library, museum, or center. Call it what you want. And he deserves it as much as anybody that's ever been president of the United States, which is such a great honor. And I just want to thank everybody for being here on this extremely hot day. It's a beautiful day, and it's a beautiful state. And I want to thank you all. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And you were just watching President Trump at the opening of the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library in Medora. And in his speech, President Trump said he was honored to attend the opening of the library and praised Roosevelt as one of America's greatest presidents, and describing him as a statesman, soldier, and national hero. So in addition to that, President Trump was emphasizing Roosevelt's deep connection to North Dakota and saying that the state's badlands helped shape Roosevelt's character and presidency. And I'll just highlight one more thing. President Trump was talking about the significance of the new Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library, calling it a national treasure and praising thousands of people who worked to build it. Okay, let's move on from that now. Long-term couples are experiencing the detached stage, where they still share a life and routines but lose a real emotional sense of partnership. Joining us now to talk about this and how to avoid it is Dr. Anna Elton. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. So Dr. Elton, good afternoon. Thank you for being with us here today. Can you just start off here? Describe the detached stage, where couples are living together but they don't feel the sense of we. Why does this happen?
So I would say we all start in a good place. We all start in a positive space. But then at some point, life happens, right? This is what I usually hear from couples. We just start focusing on other things. We're just focusing on chores, work. And then at some point, a couple start living parallel life. And at that point, you see that couples stop really talking to each other, right? They're on the same couch, but they're on their devices. They stop really checking in with each other. They stop touching each other. And at that point, they stop spending intentional time together.
So how do couples prevent this from happening? What are some of the early signs that you really need to look out for?
So again, as I mentioned, you really stop paying that attention to each other. And I would say, so back in 1970s, there was this theory developed, so social penetration theory. Think of the onion. It's like peeling the onion. First, when you meet someone, you start on the outer layer. You get to know them. You let them know your name, your age, what you like, what you dislike, and then as you get to know the person, you go deeper and deeper and deeper into more committed and more intimate conversations. So with couples in long-term relationships, they actually regress back to that outer layer, and they stop really talking to each other. So I would say the first thing that they need to notice is that they're not really talking. They're not really checking in. They talk about like what's for dinner, like what they what needs to be done, if kids needs to be picked up, but they're not really being curious about the partner. So I would say start with 5 minutes a day, just checking in, asking how you been doing, what's been going on, what you've been stressed about, what are you hoping to do, what are you looking forward to.
Okay, so those are some good tips. I'm wondering if you can tell us a bit more about, some of the many things that, in addition to what you said just now, some of the things that you can potentially, try every day to, make things work or try to stay away from this detached stage.
I would say, like, even if you want to start one-on-one, the first thing that you want to do, you want to start noticing what's going well in your relationship and make the mental note and actually let your partner know. Because what happens with long-term couples, they move into that negative space and start viewing partners and their decisions and their actions through a negative lens. So just 1 week, think about, start noticing, like, what do you think your partner is doing well? Right. So if, they picked up something, if they made coffee for you, maybe something that you've been taking as granted now, try to be more grateful for and let your partner know, hey, thank you for doing this. I've been noticing you've been really trying to support me. And then once you start noticing and saying it out loud, it creates this narrative in your head. And then the way you think affects the way you feel and affects your actions. Right? If you think your partner is supportive, you will feel connected to them. You want to be close to them. If you feel like your partner doesn't care about you, as a result, you want to disconnect. So we need to start with that positive outlook on the relationship.
Okay, so those are good tips, but I'm wondering, would there be a challenge if only one person is doing what you speak of? What do you do then if only one side is doing that?
Yes. So, I mean, it's always easier to say like that both partners are willing to participate and both partners are willing to do it. But I would say if you're trying, but your partner is not really noticing your efforts, I would use the 4-step check-in, right? So what it does, it actually declines the defensiveness. So step number 1, you need to start with, again, something positive, right? Instead of saying like, hey, you haven't been helping out, because if you start with, I guess, demand or something accusation, quote unquote, right, your partner will feel defensive. So you need to start slow and you need to start with something that's being done well. And you say like, hey, I know, even if it's really, really hard to find, right, find something small, start with that positive step. Then say like, what is your part in this, right? Maybe you were hoping that your partner would help you, would step up, but you never said it to them. Say like, hey, I know I should have asked you for help. Step number 3, that's when you express your hurt and you say, so this is what's been going on lately. I've been feeling disconnected from you. And then step 4 is actually asking for help. Tell your partner exactly what you need from them, because partners can do a lot of things, but they don't read your mind. So let them know. Clear, effective instructions.
Okay, I'm also wondering if a couple is already in this detached stage, or if they're in this stage for many months now, or maybe even years or weeks. Is there still hope? Can they still get out of it? What are the steps once you're sort of stuck in this situation?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it really depends where you stand. So from the research point, there's this pre-terminal stage of the relationship, which can last from 0.6 to 2.3 years. So from pre-terminal, it can take this long to get to the terminal stage of the relationship and breaking point. So does it mean that after 2.3 years, you will be done? No, I've definitely worked with couples who stay longer past their breaking point for 5, 10, 15 years. And it's usually due to young children, joint finances, businesses, family, culture, a lot of different reasons, right? But what happens that at some point, they can potentially break up. That's why you see a lot of great divorces, older couples filing for separation and divorce. So I would say there's still hope if at least one partner, I mean, if both partners are still checked in, right? So usually when they come in, and again, I ask them, like, how willing are you to work on this relationship? If they are willing, if they still have hope for the relationship, they still have hope for me and for them as a couple. Right. And I'm also author and researcher, and I created this assessment, relational desire score, that measures the health of your relationship. So when you take a test, you can see where you stand and where your partner stands. And then from there, you can have a conversation and try to bring each other on the same level.
So, Dr. Elton, it's getting warmer nowadays. It's summer. Do you think this issue is more prevalent, more prominent during the summer season? If so, why is that?
So it's really tricky and interesting, right? So when you think about summer, you think that summer should fix things, right? Summer is the time for connection. Summer is the time for fun. And a lot of long-term couples who struggle in their relationship, that's one thing they say, they're missing fun. They are missing the lightness of their relationship. So maybe it can bring some couples together, but the thing is, a lot of couples focus on other things. They're really busy, schedules are changing, and they focus on other things and hoping that relationship will just work out. And then it's just, similar to gym, right? If you go to the gym and you're hoping to get in a place and shape that you want to be, and then once you get there, you can't just stop. You need to keep working, maybe not with the same intensity, but you still need to put that work in. So same with relationships. You need to continue investing into this intentional time together. So for summer, you need to try to schedule something as a couple, right? You need to try to be on the same team. You need to check in with each other. You need to do the physical touch. So physical touch, from the research standpoint, if you give a longer hug, 20 seconds or longer hug, it releases oxytocin, love and bonding hormone, which helps couples to feel more connected and loved. So, more touches, more communication, more connection.
Okay, on that note, just one more thing here. Sometimes couples, they wait until date night to express their romantic emotions to each other. Is that, would you classify as a mistake, or is that something that's okay, or something that should be changed?
Well, date nights are great. I always say, go on date nights. But if you only hope for date nights to bring you together and reconnect, that's a mistake. So you need to do the small actions through the day, through the week. And, I've been married to my husband for a long time. We've been together for 25 years. So we have this rule, right? It's the 3-touch rule, right? Through the day, we need to be responsible and accountable, not just him or me, but both, to make sure that we are connecting at least 3 times a day. And that's what helps couples to feel more on the same page and more in tune with each other.
Well, all right, Dr. Elton, plenty of great advice today. Thank you for talking to us.
Thank you.
President Trump is calling on the Senate to fire its parliamentarian. The parliamentarian advises senators on the standing rules and proceedings of the chamber. Elizabeth McDonald has served as the parliamentarian since 2012. She was appointed by former President Obama and former Democratic Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. In a post on Truth Social today, Trump says McDonald has been ruling unfairly against Republicans for years. He adds that Senate Majority Leader John Thune has the right to fire her immediately and urges Thune to do it now. The Trump administration has chosen not to renew the USMCA trade agreement. This comes amid President Trump's efforts to reshore manufacturing and address trade imbalances with partners. The U.S., Mexico, Canada met virtually to discuss the agreement. As they required, the Trump administration has chosen not to renew the USMCA in its current form through 2042, but they say the agreement remains in force pending yearly reviews or until it expires in 2036. The White House says the trade deal did not operate control to the deficit as the president intended. U.S. Trade Representative Jamieson Greer adds that the U.S. will continue to engage with Mexico and Canada. They will address the agreement's shortcomings and U.S. trade deficits with these countries. The U.S. will meet with Mexico later in July for a third round of bilateral talks. However, no talks are scheduled between the U.S. and Canada. The Department of Homeland Security Secretary Markwayne Mullins said President Trump has delivered on restoring law and order. He touted the One Big Beautiful Bill and how continuous investment is shaping U.S. cities, waters, and borders.
President Trump ran on that, and he's keeping that promise. And the One Big Beautiful Bill delivered on that. But at the same time, it puts our fiscal house in order. And so to be on this side of it now, seeing the results that are taking place, working with ICE, working with CBP, working with the Coast Guard, seeing what that investment means, seeing what we're doing every single day in our waters, on our borders, and in our cities on getting the worst of the worst out because we have continuous funding is absolutely remarkable.
Mullins said they are deporting on average over 3,200 individuals a day. 70% of those have outstanding criminal charges on them or they've already been charged with a felony. He said this is saving lives and making the streets safer for all states, both red and blue. He added that DHS is confident the U.S. will have a very secure FIFA World Cup and Freedom 250 celebration. Rescue work continues in Venezuela a week after two major earthquakes hit parts of the country. Some American first responders are still on the ground as well. NTD's international correspondent Arian Pastar has the latest.
Some people in Caracas are seen sleeping in tents 1 week after two earthquakes hit Venezuela. Almost 2,000 people are confirmed dead and over 10,000 injured. The United Nations says over 6 million people may be affected.
Since the very first day, we've been sleeping outside because we're still very shaken up. We're afraid to go back up to our apartments.
Almost 60,000 buildings were damaged or destroyed. Many are still buried under the rubble.
I feel terrible. I have a 19-year-old niece down there. We know she was here because she was on the phone with her mom, and we haven't heard from her since.
Not all collapsed buildings have professional rescue teams on site. Many civilians are working to remove debris to pull out survivors or bodies. Various nations are helping as well, such as a team from Jordan, which rescued a 3-year-old boy who was buried for 6 days. The number of official rescues has dropped dramatically in the last 3 days. The Venezuelan government says it went from over 5,000 people saved in the first 2 days to just 4 people found alive on Monday. A team from Miami-Dade is still in Venezuela, helping with the rescue efforts. Florida Task Force 1 remains on the ground, conducting structural assessment, identifying hazards, and searching damaged buildings to locate and assist survivors. Arian Pastar, NTD News.
Rumors are swirling about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, why a mystery event at Madison Square Garden has fans buzzing. Tell you about it next, after this.
I've devoted my life to combining cutting-edge science with biblical wisdom, and I believe Healing Leaves Tea is the Bible's best-kept health secret. In Revelation 22, the Bible reveals the tree of life and declares the leaves are for the healing of the nations. Amazingly, science confirms what Scripture declares. These leaves support digestion and immunity, maintain healthy inflammation, and boost energy. So instead of another supplement, I created Healing Leaves Tea. It's caffeine-free, convenient, and delicious, hot or cold. Thousands are making Healing Leaves Tea part of their daily wellness routine, and now you can too.
Call the number on your screen for this exclusive TV deal and save 30% on your preferred customer order with free shipping and risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. As a bonus, we'll include the Beginner's Guide to Essential Oils, a $16.99 value free. Call the number on your screen to learn more right now.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you MyPillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our MyPillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our MyPillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
I'm Jonathan Lawson. If you're 50 to 85, please listen closely. The lock I want to talk to you about isn't the one on your door. It's a rate lock for your life insurance that guarantees that once you're insured, your rate can never go up at any time for any reason. Many policies you see don't have one, but you can get a lifetime rate lock from Colonial Penn. This plan was designed for people on a fixed income with coverage options that start at $9.95 a month. That's less than 35 cents a day. Your rate is locked in for life. Coverage can never be canceled, and your acceptance is guaranteed. You cannot be turned down because of your health. See for yourself. Call for an information kit and gift. Both are free with no obligation.
Call 1-800-624-6556 for your free information and your free gift. That's 1-800-624-6556. 1-800-624-6556. Call now.
2 individuals were arrested today after climbing the antenna of New York City's Empire State Building. The duo flew a banner from the top which read, quote, "When the power of love beats the power of the world knows peace." Bystanders reacting to the stunt.
Sitting over here on my lunch break, and then I just saw a flag, and I was like, I thought it was like for the 4th of July or something, a new edition. But then I went back inside and everyone was like, there's police and there's like helicopters. It's crazy.
Tickets to go up at 12:30 and we saw the commotion that was just beginning. Some of the police cars were just turning up. And when you zoomed right in, you could just see that there was 2 people up on the pinnacle or the antenna waving a big black flag.
I was thinking, how did they get through security? I mean, if you've ever been up to the observatory, it's really intense security. You go through metal detectors, all sorts of things. I just can't believe that they, made it past a certain point at all.
When they got to one of the lower platforms, the gentleman went down on his knee and proposed to the lady. So it looks like they got engaged.
I mean, all I saw was the flag at first, but then obviously I looked it up once I saw all the commotion and all the helicopters and everything. But they climbed all the way to the top. It's crazy.
Will Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce get married at Madison Square Garden this weekend? New York Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch indicating something big was about to happen at the world's most famous arena.
In a briefing about major events happening this weekend in New York City, I would be remiss not to mention an event that we are tracking at Madison Square Garden on Friday night. The NYPD will, of course, have a detail in place, but I am not going to go into more specifics on that at this time.
Tisch's comments come amid reports that Swift and Kelce may hold wedding-related events at the arena. If the music icon and NFL star do exchange vows at the Midtown Manhattan venue, it would take place during one of New York City's busiest security weekends of the year. This year's 4th of July marks America's 250th anniversary of independence. The holiday is expected to draw large crowds, tourists, and fireworks spectators into the city. City officials said the NYPD would deploy additional officers across the 5 boroughs. The U.S. men's national team faces Bosnia and Herzegovina tonight in the round of 32, with a spot in the round of 16 on the line. As World Cup fever continues to sweep the country, fans say the tournament is doing more than filling stadiums. It's bringing people together. NTD's Niku Bani has more.
USA! 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 Woo!
What are your feelings before the game tonight?
Hopefully they'll win 2-0, so it'll be a good game.
Police said, come on, let's do it. 2-1 at least.
Oh, definite win.
Probably 3-1.
And what do you think, with the U.S. hosting the World Cup, what has it done for the U.S.?
I'll tell you, it's opened up, I think, our eyes to how the rest of the world sees us, and it's opened up the rest of the world's eyes to how we see them. It has been nothing but love that I've seen online for all the games. I mean, I think that's what this World Cup is really doing. I'm so glad that we were able to host this and show who we really are.
That's why they call USA the team of the whole world, because we are so many people here and we are rooting and we get together regardless of our country of origin.
What do you hope international fans take away from the U.S. after being here?
Well, I think they are going to have a good image of United States because so far the organization, security, and the logistics have been very good.
I think people will come here and realize how amazing it is just to be here.
So while the U.S. soccer fans are catching some soccer fever, international and long-term fans tell us soccer is more than just the game.
Football in England, it's very we always get behind it.
Football is very important for Brazil, so we kind of have every World Cup's a new chance of hope, of faith, that this time we work and we're going to be the champion for the 6th time. And so here we are. We are hoping that we can do this.
The football is meaning a lot for the Mexicans. It's a passion.
It's a very important competition. I think it's the most important in the world, and there's no other sport that can do what the World Cup does, and it joins everyone together.
Just weeks after a fiery explosion, space company Blue Origin is teasing its next chapter and a timeline for when it might fly again. Here are the details on that.
We watched it erupt in a fireball in the night. Now we're getting a peek at the comeback. It's been just more than a month since Blue Origin's New Glenn rocket exploded, decimating Launch Complex 36 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. While the company says the cause is still under investigation, it's announcing it'll try again by the end of this year with a redesigned launch pad. Releasing a video showing renderings of what it'll look like once completed, saying they'll use a new horizontal-vertical integration, which means putting the rocket together at a horizontal integration facility, then using a crane to lift it into vertical position where the final payload is placed on top, making it ready for launch. An ambitious effort for a decade-long documentation of the night sky is underway. The Vera C. Rubin Observatory in Chile has begun what it calls its Legacy Survey of Space and Time. It's a 10-year survey of the southern sky using the observatory's 3,200 megapixel camera, the largest digital camera on Earth, with the stated goal of creating an ultra-wide, ultra-high definition time-lapse record of our universe. Each point in the sky will be photographed 800 times during the survey. Researchers hope that data will unlock mysteries of the distant universe. Under the cover of the night sky, a bear took a jaunt around an Oregon town. Its presumed search for a snack interrupted by a police officer's bright spotlight. For the next few minutes, following along as the bear sauntered down the road, even making sure the wild animal didn't dart out into the road. Eventually, video shows the officer able to corral the black bear and escort it to a nearby river where it would be safer.
A federal judge has blocked proposed restrictions on mail-in voting. The judge ruling the Postal Service proposal would violate a settlement with a civil rights group requiring expedited mail-in ballot handling. In May, the Postal Service proposed a rule requiring states to provide lists of voters. The proposed rule also would have required new ballots procedures before the agency would make deliveries. The Postal Service said it would refuse to deliver the ballots if states fail to comply. The judge's ruling comes as the Trump administration moves to limit mail-in voting ahead of the November 3rd midterm elections. Elections results will determine if Republicans maintain control of both houses of Congress. The Justice Department has announced new federal charges against 8 alleged members of Tren de Aragua, the Venezuelan gang designated as a foreign terrorist organization. Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche says nearly 350 members have been charged or convicted since the Trump administration started its crackdown at the beginning of 2025. NTD correspondent Jason Blair has more.
8 allegedly illegal alien members of Tren de Aragua foreign terrorist organization are being charged with vicious kidnappings and murders.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, along with FBI Director Kash Patel and U.S. attorneys, announced new charges in the Trump administration's ongoing effort to dismantle transnational gangs.
This is very dangerous law enforcement work. It requires an all-government, all law enforcement approach.
Gangs are the reason why so many drugs, guns, and violence are deployed onto our streets and onto our community.
Blanche highlights one of the incidents.
4 men murdered a father, and then they kidnapped his 13-year-old daughter and 12-year-old nephew.
Since President Trump designated Tren de Aragua as a foreign terrorist organization in January 2025, Blanche says nearly 350 members and associates have been charged or convicted of violent crimes.
Murders, sex trafficking, kidnappings, weapons charges, drug trafficking, robbery, ATM jackpotting, and other widespread financial crimes.
Patel provides broader stats on the administration's crackdown.
We've arrested 29,000 violent gang members since President Trump was sworn in. We've disrupted and dismantled 2,700 gangs.
The DOJ says most of the work was carried out by Homeland Security task forces along with Joint Task Force Vulcan,
which we built to eradicate MS-13 and expanded to take on TDA.
At least 4 of the 8 suspects are already in custody, 3 in the U.S., and 1 is being held in Colombia. Blanche says that terrorism charges will be added where possible. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Jason Blair, NTD News.
Thank you for watching NTD Newsroom. I'm Don Ma. Let's take a quick break, but remember to come back. And NTD Evening News is at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.